Welcome back, everybody, to another episode, a special episode of the Down the Line podcast. Ethan, how are we doing? How are we doing today?
We're just doing fantastic. How about you?
I don't think we could be more up right now. I don't think
No.
we could be more up, but that would come in like a week.
Yeah.
We've never been this up. We've never been like this much back. Than we are right now. So, championship series are done. On both sides, we have a World Series matchup, Jays and Dodgers. Of course, anyone who has a clue, me and Ethan were pretty happy about that.
Yeah, I would say that I'm pretty pleased with the results.
We're quite hyped about it. So, we are going to be talking about both the CS matchups, how they went, and then we're going to be looking at the World Series matchup, which starts on Friday. This is going to go up Thursday, so for you guys, it'll be tomorrow that the World Series starts. For us, it's 2 days from now. It's Wednesday. Ethan, what series do you want to start in? What series do you want to talk about first?
Let's start with the NL. That was a quicker series.
There's definitely a lot more to talk about with one series. This is not that series. The Brewers kind of got smacked. Now, me and Ethan, we've both been pretty vocal. It's like, listen, we don't really believe the Brewers are fraudulent like that. Like, even if they lose in whatever round, like, that team is still really good. We even said, like, hey, listen, if anyone has the pitching to take down the Dodgers, it's probably the Brewers. And oh my god, I don't know if I've seen a team.
I don't want to even say they're fraudulent though.
I am not going to say they're fraudulent, because at the end of the day, like, playoff variance happens, like, shit happens at the end of the day. But this might be the worst showing that I've seen from a playoff team in a single series. Oh my god, this was awful. It was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad. They could not hit. And again, this is not a team that was known for their offense. It was not a team that was known for scoring 9 runs a game. They scored 4 runs all series. It was bad. They scored 1 run in each game. And albeit their pitching wasn't that bad. They actually held the Dodgers.
That's what I was going to say.
Scoring.
The Dodgers are a very, obviously one of the greatest teams ever assembled, in the sense of, when you look at some of the star power they have.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like they were getting blown out in games. It's not like they were giving up 10, 11 runs and it's like, holy shit, how do they even make it here? You could tell by the pitching how they made it there.
The worst margin in the series,
got cold.
The worst margin of the whole series was a 4-run loss, and that happened twice. They had, I think there was a 2-1 and a 3-1 in there. Yeah, they almost took, what was it? Was it game 1 where they almost got something going against Sasaki? Or...
Yeah, I think that was game 1.
Yeah, and then they...
Or no, was game 1 the one with
because game 2 was the one where Yamamoto went the distance, and also incredible fucking...
You're right.
Incredible outing.
Yeah.
Their starting pitching is ridiculous, and, I mean, we said this before, their starting pitching is so ridiculous. It puts it into perspective when you're looking at, like, Clayton Kershaw, who, again, he's not prime Kershaw, but, like, he didn't even get a start in the series. He had, like, a bullpen outing or two, and, I mean, he didn't look great, but, I mean, the guy's fucking, like, a million years old. I'll let it slide, but...
Yeah.
Like, their starting pitching is ridiculous. We saw Loki Ohtani was cold for most of the series. Like, people will forget about it because of his 3-homer game in game 4.
Which
understandable.
I don't know. I think it's fair to say that might have been the greatest single game performance in postseason history.
Probably, but before that, he wasn't doing like a whole lot. Like, he went 1 for 5 in game 2, 1 for 4 in game 3 with a triple, which is not a bad performance at all. But he wasn't doing the Ohtani thing. Like, in game 2, he struck out 3 times, and then he comes in, he hits 3 home runs, strikes out 10 on the other side. It's like ridiculous. I saw this one reel. It's this guy. He's going back in time. He's time traveling back to Babe Ruth's time, right?
Oh yeah, Angels would have lost that game, by the way.
Angels would have lost that game. Mike Trout Mike Trout would have raised his WRC plus to 431 in the playoffs. Ohtani would have not done something that's never been done in human history. The Angels would have lost that game 7-4. So, what it is.
Back to what you were saying.
No, I'd seen this reel after this guy. He's traveling back in time, and he's going back, and he's, yo, are you Babe Ruth? And he's like, yeah, I'm Babe Ruth. And he's like, listen, I got a warning. Like, I'm here for a warning. He's like, a warning? And he's like, there's someone better than you is coming. And he's like, better than me? What are you talking about, better than me? And he's like, he has home runs that no one's ever seen before. And he's like, I hit a bunch of home runs. What are you talking about? I hit the ball 350 feet on average, or whatever the hell he said in the video. And he's like, this guy hits a 450. And this guy's like, well, I also pitch. And he's like, so does he. And he's like, well, I throw 90 miles an hour. And it's like, yeah, well, he throws 100. And he's like, okay, so? And he's like, he had 3 home runs and struck out 10 batters. And he's like, yeah, it's a fine series or season, whatever. And he's like, he did it in the same game.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, whatever. And then he's like, well, he had 50 home runs, 50 stolen bases. And he's like, that's not a bad career. And he's like, yeah, it's happened in the same season. And then it's like, oh God. It's like, is he a cyborg? And he's like, dude, we have no idea. We have no idea if this guy's even a real human being. He might be a genetically, like, modified extraterrestrial.
Made in a lab.
Like, he might be made in a lab.
Lab.
I would not be surprised if it came out that Ohtani was, like, a genetically modified human being. I would not be surprised. If he's a cyborg, something, right? Yeah, man, the Brewers, though, they were cold all series. And that's really the thing that we got to look at. Everyone knew that this isn't a super high-powered team. They are one of the best teams at getting on base. And this is the thing that we said even before. But, like, even, like, guys who you were really expecting to do damage or just, like, do anything, they weren't doing it. Christian Yelich had 1 hit all series after having a pretty good season. All things considered.
I mean, it's worth noting that Yelich has not had an RBI in a postseason game since, I believe, it was 2018 Game 7 against the Dodgers. That was his last playoff RBI.
Yeah. William Contreras was 0 until Game 4 where he had 2 hits. Like, it was...
I mean, just look at the first game from the whole team. They had 1 hit before the 9th inning. They finished with 2 hits.
It was rough.
And, like, yeah, you're facing good pitching. But this is the NLCS. I mean, you know, obviously you got to be good enough to get to that point.
You do.
But
you do have to be. And they showed it against the Cubs. They can slug when they want to. We saw it in Game 5. They hit 3 home runs in Game 5 against the Cubs. Like, their offense can hit. Like, they're not a bad offense, but they just got embarrassed by the Dodgers. 4 runs all series. I had seen this, you probably saw this too, probably got posted on Jay's Twitter and shit, but how Ernie Clement, I don't remember at one point in the series this was posted, but he had more hits in the postseason than the Brewers had in the NLCS in, like, 70 less total ABs. It was actually ridiculous. I don't remember at what point in the series that was, but oh my God, it was brutal. I sent that to my friend, and he's like...
I think that was at, after Game 5, maybe.
Something like that. I sent it to my friend, and I'm like, is this good? And he's like, he's like, listen, if you're Milwaukee, that's not what you want. And I'm like, it's rough.
Yeah.
It's rough. It
definitely not what you want.
It was very tough. But, Dodgers made quick work of them. We talked a lot how the Dodgers bullpen is kind of tough. We also did mention coming into the CS, like, how Roki Sasaki, like, just rejuvenated fucking demon, apparently. And this still is true. Roki Sasaki is still a demon for some reason. I don't know how that happened. He went from throwing 93 in his rehab starts to come back, and he's pumping 100 and 101 and shit in the playoffs. You don't have to worry about your bullpen if your starters are giving you fucking 8-9 innings like Snell and Yamamoto were. Like,
for sure.
It was ridiculous. It's
yeah, and it's scary to say that the Dodgers have lost a singular game this postseason, and was a game in which they were up, or they were only down 3-1, which for them was nothing, and then they brought Kershaw in, who gave up the 5 spot. But it's just, how is that possible? You lose 1 game.
The single worst outing that they had from a starter this series was Tyler Glasnow going 5 2/3, striking out 8 and allowing 1 run. That was the worst outing they had from a starter all series. The other 3 starters did not allow a run in the series, not the whole postseason.
And that's okay. I was gonna say, because I would say probably the Yamamoto start.
Just in the series, not the whole. Just the series. That's ridiculous.
Which is still insane.
That's ridiculous. Striking out 8, allowing 1 run. That's
scary.
And it's like, it's not close either, because none of the others started. Like, Snell and Yamamoto, obviously not. Ohtani didn't allow a run in Game 4. Struck out 10. Like, that's ridiculous. That is a nightmare rotation to face. Their offense is still really good. Will Smith got it going. We were talking about that. Like, oh, how is it gonna, you know what I mean? Like, he was fine against the Phillies, but, you know, he wasn't Will Smith. He got it. He was killing them the whole series.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't any extra base hits, but he was still, like, it doesn't really matter. Like, he was killing them. He was killing them. He was absolutely frying them. He raised his playoff OBP over 100 points in that series, from 267 to 375. His average went from 154 to 286. It was actually ridiculous. He was killing them. Obviously, we talked about how Ohtani had the big game 4. Mookie Betts actually wasn't even that hot, which is, like, you know, kind of interesting. After he was red hot against the Phillies and against the Reds as well. Tommy Edman had a good series, which is not a guy that you're expecting to get very much offensive production out of.
Yeah, and I mean, Kike Hernandez just doing postseason Kike things, obviously.
Of course, you know, like scheduled Kike Hernandez postseason heroics, you know, scheduled stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
But that's the thing, like, they didn't get the depth from that lineup that they would have liked, and they still swept them. Like Teoscar at a 78 WRC plus, Pages, who has definitely been struggling. He hasn't been, you know, himself. Still 49, Mookie 47 WRC plus. Like, they're Muncie 92. Like, they're not getting the depth that they would like from their guys, and it still doesn't matter. That's how scary this team is.
not even just their top guys pretty much weren't performing at all. Again,
Yeah.
outside of, you know, the game.
Yeah, I mean, for sure.
None of them were really performing. Even before that, like, you know, Ohtani had a couple, like, he wasn't really doing too much before game 4. Like,
No,
it was
Ohtani had a 66 WRC plus in the first 3 games, and then if you include that game 4, it goes all the way up to 313, which just shows how good of a game that was.
It was ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Yeah, man. Dodgers they're looking good. They're looking really tough, and the thing that bodes really well for them going into the World Series is that the Blue Jays, respectfully, they are not the Brewers pitching staff. This pitching staff is not nearly as good as the Brewers. As much as, like, they have certain guys out of the bullpen who are really good. They have some good starters. They're not the Brewers. They didn't, like, crush the Brewers pitching, but they were still having, like, 5 spots and stuff like that. And, I mean, the big thing for them is that their starters looked absolutely unhittable. Even their bullpen didn't perform that bad. Like, you know, they got.
But you know what else?
What's up?
The Jays lineup isn't the Brewers lineup.
This is another thing.
Better.
This is another thing.
Way better.
We'll get to that a little bit more, I think, when we talk about the World Series. But, like, that has to be, like, a big thing. Like, that has to give you a lot of confidence going into the World Series if you're the Dodgers, because you took down probably the best pitching staff in the whole playoffs, like, out of any team that made it, period. Not even just the ones that were left. They probably had the best pitching staff in the whole playoffs. And, again, they didn't score 6, 7, 8 runs a game off of them, but they kind of did their thing a little bit. They did their thing a little bit.
Yeah. I mean,
again,
when your pitching staff is as good as the Dodgers was,
you don't need 7 runs a game.
I'm not saying it wasn't good in, like, the regular season or anything. I'm just merely stating the fact that it was just you know, even more spectacular in that series. But it's just, that's the thing. You don't have to be scoring 7 runs a game. You could get away scoring 3 or 4 runs and easily win these games because of how overwhelming your pitching staff was.
Exactly. When 3 of your 4 starters don't allow a run in that series, like, you cannot ask. Your starting pitching allowed 1 run the entire series, I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure the other 3, Snell Yamamoto, I know, didn't allow 1. I think Ohtani went 6 shutout as well. Like, you cannot ask for a better performance from your starters in any given moment. You can't ask for better. You probably weren't even your wildest hopes and dreams probably didn't even think of, like, a performance like that from your starters.
No, and I think if you said you thought the Dodgers were going to sweep them, I think you would, like, I don't believe that, because yes, the Dodgers are a very good team, but when people say, like, oh, Dodgers in 4, because it's kind of like just showing how good they are, not because they're actually going to win in 4. But, like, going into it, neither of us had it in 4. I think we both had the Dodgers.
I think I had, like, 6 or something like that.
And I thought 5 maybe you could say 5 even, like, that wouldn't be crazy, but to say a sweep, that's just pretty crazy, just because, like, the Brewers are a team who all year weren't going on big losing streaks. They bounced back with wins. They found ways to just win games. Whether it's, not saying that they would have won, like they should have won the series or whatever, but it's just when you're thinking about the fact that this is a team that was so good in the regular season at just finding ways to win games, they couldn't find a way to win one of them.
Like,
which just goes to show how good the Dodgers are.
This is a team, again, that got on base more than 28 other teams in all of baseball. The only team that got on base more than them was Toronto. Like, they got on base more than the Phillies, more than the Dodgers, more than the Mets. Any, like, prolific offense you can think of. The Brewers had probably a higher OBP unless you're looking at Toronto. They were third in runs scored. You don't Fugazi your way to third in runs scored, right?
No.
You don't Fugazi your way to that. That just doesn't happen. Even if, like, I don't think it's going to play super well in a postseason, which, again, is a thing we said. They're not a super high power hitting team, and you ultimately, home runs are king in the playoffs. It's a thing. I think teams this postseason, I think I saw a thing before Game 7, they were like 22-4. So I think they're probably, 22-5 now or something like that. I don't remember what the number is, but there's something like that. Again, this is a thing that history has shown. And this is not to say, again, that we think the Brewers are bad. It's just the Dodgers were also ridiculous. No one was going to come into the series telling you the Brewers had more talent on their Dodgers on the rosters, or more talent on their roster than the Dodgers, excuse me. But I personally...
But the thing with the Brewers, which made them a good team, isn't because they had, a bunch of superstars who were doing their thing. It's the fact that
they had a bunch of guys.
They kept passing the baton, letting the next guy do their thing, just kind of working their way, grinding out these runs. They weren't, having guys like Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, Teoscar Hernandez slug 40 home runs. They didn't have that kind of star power, but I mean, it worked for them, obviously, up until that point.
Yeah, they didn't have any stars or superstars or whatever on their team. Like, that is, like, the best, like, besides, like, Freddie Peralta, and they're starting, well, that kind of defeats the point because that's not an offensive player, but none of their position players were, like, all-star caliber this year, like, super, like, that level of, like, ridiculous, you know what I mean? But they just had a bunch of just good players that all did their thing, and that was ultimately what got them to this point. As much as that was kind of a really embarrassing showing in the playoffs, like, that was, I don't know if I should use the word embarrassing, but it was a really tough showing. I really hope I don't see very many people, like, discredit what the Brewers did and, like, say, like, oh, they're fraudulent and this and that, because that just kind of, number one, that's kind of stupid, because, like, we know that the playoffs are ridiculously, like, it's...
That's another thing. Yeah, I mean, that's really another thing, because I bet a lot of people had I'm not saying, like, everyone, but obviously a lot of people had the Phillies making a pretty deep run, or
we
at
did.
least I know a lot of people had the Phillies. Yeah, I know a lot of people had Philly winning the World Series. So obviously, even if you look at the betting odds, it's not like it was just a couple random fans. Even like Vegas thought so. So it's kind of like, you know what I mean? Are you going to call Philly frauds? No, because everyone thought, like, you know what I mean? They don't have the same thought process there. A lot of people thought Philly was going to win, and they didn't. Doesn't mean they're frauds. Just because the Brewers, were very good in the regular season, best record in MLB, doesn't mean that they're frauds because they didn't beat the Dodgers.
Sometimes it's literally just like, I will say that I think the Dodgers
lost in 5 last year. Were you gonna call them frauds? Like, no,
like that. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, sometimes, like, somebody has to lose. Like, someone has to lose at the end of the day, right? Not every single one can win. I think that's kind of, I hate fraud discourse, bro. Especially in this sport, it's so stupid. But again,
but further on the point, they had 13 players with a WRC plus of over 100 in the regular season, which is just absurd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think you can really take this away from them. Again, you don't want to get swept in the NLCS or in the playoffs in general or whatever, because obviously that sucks. Right. We know the main goal is to hoist that trophy at the end of the day. Yeah. But someone has to lose. Someone has to lose at the end of the day. Well, a bunch of teams have to lose at the end of the day. There's only one that can win everything.
In each series, a team has to lose.
Yeah. Like, not both teams are going to go home saying, we're moving on. At the end of the day, it is what it is. The Dodgers were ridiculously stacked. They were definitely a favorite, and it's not hard to tell why. Like, that roster's ridiculous. I don't have much more to say on this series. There's a lot more to say on the other side. I'll tell you that. I don't know if you have much more that you want to say on this series.
No, I mean that's the thing. There's not much you can really say. Unfortunately, the Brewers didn't, play as well as they had hoped, or at least well as I thought. Like that's the thing. Obviously, we knew that the Dodgers pitching was great. I didn't think they'd be only 4 runs in the series. Great. I also didn't think it'd be a sweep, so that
Mm-hmm.
would also, contribute to that. But
True.
yeah, I mean, it's just there's really not much to say, unfortunately. I wish we got like a longer series because
That would have been
it
fun.
would have been fun to see some bigger games other
Mm-hmm.
than just 4 games. It's over. Dodgers move on because where's the fun in that? But I mean, they showed why they should be in the World
They
Series.
did.
So
They did. They're gonna go for back to back. And before we talk about that series, it's time to move on to the ALCS, Ethan. What a
yeah,
series! What a fucking series, man. This
yeah, and not even just because the Jays won, but just from in the baseball world, from what I've seen outsiders say, I put it this way: the road team, who you know the Blue Jays have been one of the best home teams in the entire league all season.
they were sub
The
500 on the
Mariners
road during
come
the regular season.
yeah, the Mariners come into Toronto and take the first 2 games 2-0. Let's talk about those first. What went wrong for the Blue Jays in the first 2 games?
It did not look good. Obviously, first pitch of the ALCS that Mariners threw, Springer hits it out. I didn't watch game one. I was out doing a fucking demon walk that day, so I actually
That was insane. You should tell everyone about that.
So listen, anyone who's from Toronto, that day, me and a few friends, we walked the entirety of the Line 1 subway. It took us like a little over 12 hours. We give or take like an hour in breaks. We were walking, I think we had left Pioneer Village right as the game started. And my friend, he had it like on like his thing, like, so we were like listening as we were walking, and we both got fucking hype as hell when Springer hit the home run. And then I'm looking, I'm checking the score on my way home. I think I got home in like the top 9 or bottom 8 or something like that, and I was too tired. I couldn't even put the fucking game on. My legs didn't even fucking work. I was like, listen, I need to chill. But anyways, they had, what was it, 1 hit, 2 hits after Springer hit that home run?
After Springer hit that home run, they had a singular hit the rest of the game.
It was tough.
And it was I believe, Santander single in the second. So after the second inning, got no hit. So 3-9.
And what was especially bad about that game, obviously everyone knows Seattle, Detroit, they went 15 innings in game 5, and I think they had 1 day in between that and the start of the ALCS.
And what sucked is for the Jays the fact that it was Bryce Miller who in the regular season was their worst starter. It's not like they were throwing Brian Wu or Logan Gilbert on the mound. It was Bryce Miller, who I'm not saying is a bad pitcher, and hats off to him. The 2 games he started for the Mariners were incredible outings. No disrespect to him whatsoever, but that's the guy who you probably want to face if you're the Blue Jays, especially because his numbers against the Blue Jays this year would dictate that he was, his overall numbers were consistent. It's not like he just owned the Blue Jays in the regular season. The Blue Jays were one of the teams that hit him well.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's just unfortunate. And obviously when, your bullpen is absolutely depleted after that marathon game and series.
Yeah.
That's definitely not the start you're looking for the Jays.
Yeah, like the matchup, like that seemed like Toronto pretty much had to take game 1. Like they had to. Like I don't remember if I said this before the I don't remember if I said this in the last episode we did, but I was thinking like Toronto bare minimum needs to go back 1-1. Like you need to take game 1. Seattle is depleted. Their worst starter is going on the bump game 1. You have your ace. You just wall up the Yankees. We're absolutely killing their pitching. And again, this is not to say I think Bryce Miller is some awful pitcher, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you he had a good year. He had a bad year. I think that there's a lot of talent in there, and he's going to be a lot better.
I'm sure Bryce Miller's the first guy to tell you that he had a bad year, too.
Yeah, and I'm sure he'll be fine next year. He'll be back to Bryce Miller, but like you're not facing George Kirby, Logan Gilbert, Luis Castillo game 1. You're not facing any of those guys. You're not even facing Brian Wu. He wasn't even pitching by that point. He was still like, injured. But you have the best like matchup for you This is their worst starter. Your ace. They're depleted. You need to take game one. And it looked like they were going to get to him. First pitch, Springer hits it out, and they get nothing rest of the game. Their bats went quiet. Game two, Yasavage, he didn't have like a spectacular outing, but like he didn't have like a bad outing either. I think the numbers make it look a lot worse than what it actually was. But in game two, they got it to 3-3. They got a bunch back in the first two innings, or the first three or whatever it was. And then the Mariners scored
the
7.
Wheels kind of fell off.
The Mariners scored 7 unanswered to win the game 10-3, and it looked fucking rough. The Blue Jays couldn't hit. Their offense looked completely cooked. It was, you know those stretches in the regular season where the Blue Jays, their offense would go cold, and it's not like they're a team that strikes out a million times. It's all the weak contact and it's all this, like weak grounders, all this stuff.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like. That's what it felt like in game two, at least.
Yeah.
It didn't look great.
I think that's fair to say.
But hats off to the Mariners, though. Their pitching was really good in those first two games. Their offense exploded. Obviously Julio had the big home run in game two that opened the score. And then the offense kept chiming in. They had how many home runs they hit in game two again? They hit like 3 or 4. They hit a bunch, but that's what the Mariners do. They hit the ball out of the yard. They were third in home runs in the regular season. We talked about this last time. Home runs play in the playoffs. There's a reason that they were there in the first place. There's a reason why they were able to take those first couple games. They were able to power their way through it. And then game 3 starts. Shane Bieber. We talked about how it's like there's things you like about the matchup and things you don't like about the matchup. Shane Bieber, high ground ball rate, but also after he came back from his injury, he allowed a decent amount of home runs, and his stuff did not look good against the Yankees at all, right? And
no, he was getting hit very hard.
First inning, Julio takes him deep. It's 2-0, and it looks cooked. I see people in the timeline saying the Mariners are going to the World Series. It looked rough because it looked like fuck. Bieber
Yeah,
have his stuff
I'm not
again.
gonna lie. At that point, I thought that this is it. We're going down 3-0.
Like, it looked pretty rough.
Obviously, the Blue Jays all season have done nothing to give you that impression that once they give up the first couple runs, the game's over. But it's just one of those things. You're in the moment. You give up the home run with your number with a starter who's not one of your elite ones in terms of like Gossman, who's been pitching unbelievable. Savage, who's looked incredible. And that's not to say he's already an elite pitcher, Savage, but that he's been pitching at an elite level.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have, Bieber, who has looked shaky, gives up 2 in the first. It's like, okay, this is going to be a long game.
Mm-hmm. Like,
but he settled in.
He did settle in. And also, like, on that note of, like, it looking kind of bleak from there, the team in the previous 2 games did not give you really, like, they didn't really give anything to encourage you as a viewer and be like, oh, yeah, they're going to get it going. This is going to turn around. Luck's going to, whatever. These balls are going to find grass. These balls are just going to, whatever, right? They didn't give you very much to look at and be like, yeah, this is an encouraging sign, whatever, right? And if, like, the tiny bits were, like, grasping at straws at the end of the day.
Yes.
But then they're on 2-0 and was at the top of the 3rd inning.
Andres
the
Jimenez
9-hitter comes up, and Andres
clutch.
fucking Jimenez comes up, ties the game at 2, or did it give him the lead? I can't remember which, game 3 or 4.
Tied it at 2.
Okay, game 4 was the one he gave him the lead. I can't remember which one was which. Ties the game, and the Blue Jays don't fucking look back for the rest of the game. They come in, they kill their pitching the rest of the game. That was Kirby, no, was it Castillo? Was it Kirby was on the bump game 3, and the other one was on the bump game 4? It was Kirby game 4, or Kirby game 3, right?
Yeah, Kirby was game 3. He pitched 4, gave up 8.
That's right. They touched him. They violated him that game.
Yeah.
Kirby needed to call an adult.
And that is the Blue Jays team that, we were used to seeing. The ones that could get to that very good starter.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that could put up like an 8 spot on a starter. The ones that just don't quit, just get hit after hit after hit, string them together. And that 4 innings run where they had 5 in the 3rd, 1 in the 4th, 2 in the 5th, 4 in the 6th. They just didn't let go. They kept scoring. Mm-hmm. They're like, we're not doing anything possible to let this game slip. We need this win. We're going to just run the score up, get as much as possible. Exactly what they did.
It was insane. It was absolutely nuts. Like, they stomped on their throats, and they kind of got sturdy on them. I can't even lie. They stepped on their throats and got
Yeah.
sturdy. Can't even lie. Like Jimenez had the big home run. Varsho had a big double to add on. Springer, Vladol went deep. Kirk, Barger had a nice little stat pad in the top of the ninth. You love to see it.
Yeah.
And they got to him. And then game 4, I said they needed to win game 3. Not just because like going down 3-0. You're going into game 4 and you're starting Max Scherzer, right? And I'm going to say something before this. And most people in J circles would have agreed with me that before the
What
series...
I will ask you is, can you give me one more day, Max Scherzer?
Before the series, I would have been saying, I don't want Scherzer anywhere near a playoff roster. And that's not... That at the time, that was not an unreasonable thing to say. It was actually a very valid... Like, he was getting absolutely lit up in the regular season. He was allowing nukes. His home runs per 9 was like almost 2. His ERA was over 5. It looked like you need Bassett game 4, right? And I think we kind of said that in the CS preview. It was kind of a give. Like,
yeah,
we were kind of we kind of basically already penciled in Bassett for game 4, and then it ended up being Scherzer.
Yeah, and the thing with Scherzer is, it's not like it was just a couple bad games where it was like unlucky. He had the one against the outing against Milwaukee. He went 4 with 9 hits, 4 runs, which is one of his better outings. Then he went 4 1/3 with 3 hits and 4 runs against the Yankees. And then Baltimore, who's not a great team, he had a better outing when things were looking a bit better. He went 5 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs. And then the game against Kansas City, we lost 20-1.
He didn't make it out the first
inning. He didn't make
inning.
it out the first inning.
His next game against the Red Sox, he wasn't
7
good
hits,
either.
7 runs. He gave up 10 hits in 5 innings in his next one, a 7-1 loss. And these are games down the stretch where you need to win if you want to hold on to that division lead.
Exactly. And
he was showing that he's really got nothing.
Not to mention, especially now, this is a what have you done for me lately kind of thing, right?
Yes.
And Scherzer was not looking good going into the playoffs. They left him off the DS roster entirely, which many would agree was like, yeah, you kind of saw it coming. He does not have the talent in 2025 where you're like, it's fine, he's like a superstar. It's not 2016, 2017 where it's like, yeah, it's fine, he had a couple bad starts near the end of the year. He's fucking Max Scherzer. Who gives a fuck, right? This is 2025 Max Scherzer, who has not looked good for most of the year. And then, listen, what I will ask you, though, is, can you give me one more day? And we got one more day. I saw someone post a video the night before. It was Max Scherzer tomorrow, and it's the Estrada start against the Royals. And that was kind of what it wasn't as good as the Estrada start, because that was ridiculously good. But
yeah, and if you look at that tweet, it says video from me.
Video from Ethan, baby. You're fucking right. Fuck, man. That was a game that I was not expecting. And it also, he didn't look too great early. He had walked a couple guys early.
No,
he gave up a home run to Naylor in the second inning. And he said, hold on. Let me lock in. I'm Max fucking Scherzer. I'm a first ballot Hall of Famer. I'm one of the best pitchers of my generation. Let me lock in. And he was making them look...
Also, the Blue Jays offense made his job much easier as well. I mean, you have the Andres Jimenez home run that took the lead back-to-back games. The Jays are not in the World Series if it's not for Andres Jimenez. I got to point that out.
This is correct. He went back to
I don't think that we are.
He went back to being first week Andres Jimenez, where he was like Barry Bonds for like a week and had like 3 home runs in the first 5
Remember when he hit
I think
it was a 3-run shot off Freed on Canada Day?
Mm-hmm. I was there. I was there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you were. Yeah.
I was in the building. My face was red as hell because we were sitting so high up in that game.
You matched the jerseys.
Sorry?
You matched the jerseys.
Yeah, my face was basically the same color as all the damn jerseys out there. No, but...
Off topic, I love what the Jays do on Canada Day. Just the whole vibe. Everything's red. It feels like it's Canada's team, not just Toronto's team.
It's beautiful, man. I've been to a couple. I went like 2 years before. I went like 1 year as well. Was it like 2018 or something? I think we were playing the Red Sox. Chris Sale kind of touched us, but you remember? You remember when they wore the red jerseys like every Sunday in like what was it 2016 for Canada 150? Yeah. That was cool too. There's some cool moments. Donaldson had this 3 home run game in that. I was also there.
One of the Steve Pierce grand slams was in the red jersey.
Yes, I remember that. That was the Angels. I want to say was that one.
I think so.
Regardless. Yeah, the offense made Scherzer's job a lot easier. Jimenez, massive home run for the second game in a row. let's put that again. The second game in a row. Castillo gets chased in the third inning, which if you would have told me that Max Scherzer was going to go pretty much twice as long as Luis Castillo, I would have laughed at you. I would have been like, yeah, okay, buddy, whatever.
Yeah.
Because I would have said, like, listen, the Mariners' offense is one that, in theory, like, on paper, you look at it, you look at Scherzer during the regular season. Again, this is not prime Max Scherzer. This is 40 million-year-old 2025 Max Scherzer who gave up a bunch of bombs. That, on paper, is an offense that should, in theory, match up against a guy like him very well. Right? Yes. This is one of the best home run hitting teams in the league, and it looked like it early again. He was walking some guys, and then he allowed the home run to Naylor, and it didn't look great. And then the offense comes in, and it's like, yeah, no, who gives a fuck? We got it.
Yeah.
He pitches into the sixth, and then, oh my god, we got to talk about John Schneider. He comes in.
That was a top 5 Aura moment ever.
Presumingly to take him out, right? Most times, 99% of the time when the manager's coming out to the mound, it's to take the guy out, right? And Scherzer goes, he looks like he's saying, whoa, and I think that's when John was probably like, wait, hold on. And he goes, how you feeling? And he's like, I'm fucking good, let's go. Like, let's go. He yells in, and that's like the level of lunatic you kind of need in a game like that, which...
Yeah, and I remember hearing, like, after what Schneider was saying, it was hilarious when he was like, he had the look, I thought he was going to kill me or something. and what tells me that is, I don't think that he was going to take him out. I think he was just going to go there, try to, like, get him fired up like that.
Yeah.
I don't think he was going to get taken out in that moment.
Or, like, tell him, like, hey, you have a little bit longer to go, but, like, you know, pretty soon someone else...
Yes, I think it's just one of those things where it's you know, veteran like Scherzer's been there, done that. You don't need to send the pitching coach. No. He knows what he needs to do. It's one of those things where I think it was Schneider just kind of firing him up a bit, getting him going like
just
that.
Just seeing, like, yo, how are we feeling? This and that, you know.
Make him, and I think that his emotion there saying, like, keep me in this fucking game, showed that, you know, his mind was 100% in it. And that's that's what you want to see.
He had a moment earlier
when
in the game.
Scherzer's fired up like that, that's what you want to see.
He had a moment earlier in the game where he goes back into the dugout and he's so locked in. He, like, accidentally body chucks. I think it was Pete
Walker. It wasn't an accident. He just shoulder checked the guy.
And he didn't even look back. Like, he's, like, that zoned the fuck in. And, like,
yes.
There's the one photo
That's
of him.
the Scherzer you need.
There's the photo of him looking, like, right over the dugout, and he's like dead-eyeing.
Yeah.
Like, right over that little, like, fence in the dugout. It's, whoa. That's...
When he's in that mindset, then that's when he's at his best. When he's angry, that's when he's his best.
Mm-hmm. And for the Jays, that was a desperate... I do not think it can be overstated just how desperately you needed to start like that from him, right? Because there is, again, a very likely scenario that could have happened was Scherzer gives up 6, or if they even let him go that far, and he's chasing the second, third inning because he gave up 2-3.
You're down 3-1 in the series with another game in Seattle still.
And then, like, you need the offense to score 8 runs to have a chance in this game. That is a very likely scenario that could have happened in this game, by the way.
Yeah.
We obviously, like, it's going to stick out how good that start was because of how much you needed it, but it also, let's not forget, it very easily could have gone the other way. That's why this is such, like, a big thing.
I'm not going to sit here and say that he had a perfect outing because he still walked 4 guys.
Mm-hmm.
It is good what he was able to do to pitch out of the jams, though, obviously. Mm-hmm. And especially giving up a relatively early, I say relatively because it was early, it wasn't the first inning, but it was early. The second inning home run to Josh Naylor was kind of like that, in my opinion, that right there shapes the game. Scherzer could have beat himself up about it and have a mindset where he's not angry, he doesn't have that kill. But that's not Max Scherzer. That's not what he does. Yes, he's done that in the regular season, but this is the postseason. Mm-hmm. Max Scherzer knows more than anybody else what this kind of game means.
Yep.
This is a guy who's been, like I said, he's been there, he's done that. Can he do it again? He locked the fuck in.
He's been in the World Series 3 times. He went there with the Tigers in 2012. Nationals in 2019 he won.
He is the second player in MLB history or pitcher or something to make the World Series on 4 different teams.
Crazy.
Or something like that, which is just ridiculous.
Crazy stuff. And yeah, you needed that start from him. The bats obviously made it a little easier. And Toronto, all of a sudden, it's a 2-2 series. At the start of Game 3, again, when Julio hit that 2-run homer off Bieber, it looked pretty fucking bleak. And now all of a sudden, Not even 48 hours later, it's 2-2. You have a brand new series. It's a best of 3 now.
Yeah, and you have home field advantage.
You do. You do. You are guaranteed going back to Toronto. But you have to play Game 5, and hopefully you go back. And let's talk about a thing really quick. The Bats were not as hot in this game, right? Gino hit a home run early to put it to make it 1-0. Springer ties it in the 5th, and then Ernie gives us the lead in the 6th. John Schneider, 8th inning, he does and listen, it doesn't hurt. It's not as bad now because we ended up winning the series. But this is, and a lot of people kind of saw it coming when Brendan Little entered the game in the 8th inning, right? They had the big boys coming up, right? They had the big boys, okay?
Yeah. Obviously, Cal Raleigh leading off.
Polanco, and Naylor.
Polanco, Naylor, Randy, Suarez.
Now,
I mean, they had the meat of their lineup. They had their best hitters aside from Julio in that inning.
You still have Sir Anthony Dominguez and Jeff Hoffman in the bullpen, which, keep in mind, you brought them in, I'm pretty sure, in that order, Hoffman, Dominguez, in the 8th and 9th, in Game 4, right? Those are your high-leverage guys, because Varland was already used. Also, shout out Louis Varland. Save my chud life, bro.
Yeah, I mean, look, first of all, I want to say about this decision, here's why it's baffling. Because I wouldn't go to any lefty, let alone Brendan Little here. Because the Mariners batters, specifically the switch hitters like Raleigh and Polanco, you're obviously not getting the matchup you want because they're switch hitters. Mm-hmm. But they hit significantly better, and that's not to say they don't hit well against righties. It was a matter of
they hit well against both sides, but even in a scenario like that, you improve your odds at getting an out and ultimately securing the game if those two are facing a righty. Kyle Raleigh has a 186 WRC+ against lefties. It is 150 against righties. That is still elite against both sides, but one is obviously a lot more scary than the other one, right?
Yeah,
he had a 400 ISO against lefties in the regular season. Of course, he hits the bomb to lead off the inning.
And another thing is these were also not like crushed balls, but the thing that really sticks out though is the fact that Brendan Little, over the last little bit, and just in general, he is a guy who gives up. He's pretty wild. He'll walk guys, he'll spike pitches, and he'll give up some bombs. Mm-hmm. That's not who you go to in a one-run game. I'm sorry. It's just not.
If it was like the string of lefties they have near the bottom of their order, I can live with it. That I'm cool with it. I would have gone Flu Hardy in that kind of context, but I can at least understand in that scenario. In this scenario, you have two guys coming up. The first two, they hit lefties a lot better than righties. It makes me think two things. Okay, number one, they probably wanted to switch them around because they were hitting left side the whole game, but I think that's a stupid fucking reasoning, with all due respect. I think that's fucking stupid. Naylor, I guess, like, the Naylor matchup was also partially in mind, but he also hits lefties well enough that I don't really think it's, like, I think his WRC+ is, like, 135 against righties and, like, 112 against lefties. Let me pull it up and double-check the exact figures, because I had looked it up the other day to double-check what I was thinking. Yeah, it's the exact numbers I just said. It's 135 against righties, 112 against lefties. Obviously, a good bit better against righties. But I think given the other two, I think you still go to Hoffman or Dominguez, whichever one you want to go to in that scenario.
Yeah, if you get beat with your best, at least you could say we got beat with our best.
It's one thing if you go down and your best guys are out there. It's one thing if you send Mike Trout out there with the bases loaded in the bottom of the 9th and he strikes out, versus if you send up fucking whoever else, right? It's different. Obviously, that's a kind of a wild comparison, but
yeah, and that's another thing with baseball that makes it so unique. It's just the fact that the difference of process versus results. Mm-hmm. Like you said, bases loaded, nobody out, or let's just say 2 outs. Bases loaded, 2 outs. And you could send Mike Trout out there. He could strike out, and then you could send IKF up there, and he hits a grand slam. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean that IKF's better, but you made the right decision to put Trout in, for example. Even if it didn't work, it would have been smart to do something like that. Whereas, yes, you got beat. And a lot of people are giving flack to Sir Anthony Dominguez for it. But because he gave up the Grand Slam, it's like, oh, if you put him in, he still would have given up a home run. But that's just not how it works, because the solo shot might not happen.
They also
the 2 walks might not happen.
Also, yeah, he came in with 2 guys on, no outs. So that is not the same thing with coming with a clean inning.
The hit by pitch, obviously that sucks. But, for all you know, that doesn't even matter because you already are out of the inning at that point if you start with Sir Anthony.
This is true. And again, you get a slightly more favorable matchup in Naylor, but it's not worth it if you're getting a ridiculously bad matchup against the other two, and Little is just not as good as either of the 2 options you had available. And again, I said it before, what's really baffling is they made the right call for this exact scenario in Game 4. When they brought in Hoffman for the 8th, and it was a heart of their order. Granted, I think the lineup was constructed differently. I think Game 5 they had shaken up the lineup. I think this is the game that they did it, but they had made the right call in Game 4. In not high leverage, by the way. They were still up 8-2, and they're bringing in their high leverage guys in the 8th and 9th, and you're bringing in Brendan Little in a 2-1 game?
Which makes the decision even more baffling. Why aren't you using Little in a game where you're up by a lot already, and why are you using your 2 highest leverage arms in that situation when you could just save them or not? Yeah, I mean, obviously you don't necessarily save them because tomorrow's not guaranteed. Obviously, in a series where it's only game 3 or 4 rather, and you're not down 3-0. It is guaranteed, but you don't want to go down more. And it's just the fact that he did it so well there in terms of going to the right guy.
It was perfect. You could have realistically gone to like a Braden Fisher or Little in Game 4 if you really wanted to, but you had the exact blueprint of what you should have done. You had it from the night before, and you went the other way. And it doesn't really make much sense because I tried to think of what angle you could have been thinking of it from. You don't have matchup advantage because Raleigh and Polanco both hit lefties better. Naylor still hits lefties well enough that matchup advantage isn't worth it given the other two. Little's been awful since the start of August, by the way. He's been terrible. Like, he was ridiculously good in the first half. His ERA since August, 6. He's been getting lit up. Right?
And do you know what Schneider said when he was asked about why he went to Little, which just made this even more what the hell is this guy doing?
Different guys. I wanted to rip my hair
what does
out.
that mean? This isn't fucking T-ball when you're 6 years old where everyone has to bat or pitch or be in the game. This is the fucking postseason of Major League Baseball.
I could not believe what I heard when I heard that. I went, what? I texted one of my friends. I went, what the fuck?
This isn't the first week of the season when you're trying to figure out who you got in your team. This is the fucking playoffs.
Exactly. This is, and not just the playoffs, that is a pivotal fucking game that can make or break your series and the season.
You play that correctly, there's a good shot you're going back home up 3-2. And obviously, looking back, it doesn't really matter because they ended up winning this series anyway.
Exactly.
But if they lost, that decision would have been remembered by Jays fans for eternity.
Absolutely. You would remember that. It would have been up there. I don't think it would have
with the Kevin Cash with Blake Snell. It would have been up there, not as big. Yeah.
Zach Britton.
Oh my God! I mean, we'll obviously we'll talk about Zach Britton after we talk about
because we have another one. We have one that might be fucking worse. But anyway,
no, I don't think it's nearly as bad. And we'll talk about that more. Obviously,
it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad when you consider a lot of things.
It's bad.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it when we talk about Game 7. But regardless, you can say sure, you need the Bats to score more than 2 runs, but you also at the end you need to hold these tight leads. You need to hold these tight leads at the end of the day, right? You can say the offense should, you need the offense to be better in that game, which, sure, 2 runs, that's not going to win you a whole lot of games if you're scoring 2 runs. Totally understandable. But you also need to be able to hold those leads, and part of that is bringing in the correct guys in certain situations. Both things can be very true.
Yes.
Anyways, they drop that game, they go back to Toronto for Game 6.
Savage versus Logan Gilbert.
Fucking Savage, man. Fucking goat, bro.
What a pitching matchup going into it. You look at that, you're like, this is baseball right here.
You're
seeing a guy who is, one of the best pitchers in baseball when he's on, in Logan Gilbert, versus a guy who just came onto the scene, had 14 innings in the regular season, had I don't know how many in the postseason, but
That would be
like
his,
before
his
that
innings. Oh, I have no idea. I think it was like
innings, yeah,
9 2/3. I think, if I'm adding my math
yeah,
correctly.
and then who's been electric, and it's just this is a great pitching matchup. Let's see what the Rook's got. Is he going to be able to go man for man with a pitcher like Logan Gilbert, who has been in Cy Young, who's gotten Cy Young consideration, finishing sixth last year.
It's very easy to look at a young pitcher like this.
He had his work cut out for him, for
It's
sure.
very easy to look at a very young pitcher like this. Again, you said 14 innings in the regular season and like whatever 9 innings in the regular season.
This is a guy who started the
fuck.
season in single A.
He did. And you are asking him to go out there in game 6, you basically saying, "Can you give me one more day?" you gotta help keep our season alive. You gotta help keep our season alive right here. Our season is on the line today. If we lose, we go home. What do you got for us? And he comes out here and he pitches almost 6 scoreless. He, what was it, 5 and I think 2/3, 1
Yes.
run allowed, maybe 2. It was 2 runs. You could.
Yeah, I remember people. After he got taken out, people were dogging on Schneider.
Okay, respectfully, no, that was the that was the
he got
correct
his
call.
chance. He got his chance to get out of it, and he didn't. But a good thing it didn't affect him.
It was the correct call. I think his velo was down a little bit. They were making a little bit more contact. You just given up the homer. He gave up another guy on base. Respectfully, again, it doesn't matter because they won the series. That was the correct call to take him out. Like, I think you, especially in a game like this, I understand they were leading. You don't want to fuck around and find out, right? I know you were up 5-2 at that. You do, or 5-1 or whatever it was. I don't think the second run scored by the time he came out. You don't want to fuck around and find out, right?
Yeah.
You remember when the Red Sox left Pedro in too long against the Yankees? You don't want to fuck around and find out. You don't want to fuck around and find out. You just don't want to do that.
No.
And then bullpen ends up coming in, locking it down. Shout out my fucking goat, Addison Barger. Listen, all my Barger bros listening, stand the fuck up. Where y'all at? That's my fucking guy right there. Big
also,
fucking
huge
game.
shout out to Jeff Hoffman. 2 inning save.
Fucking Hoff 2-0.
And on top of that, just in the entire postseason, he's earned his contract.
Fucking Hoff
It was
2-0,
looking
bro.
bad in the regular season, but
It did. It did look a little bleak in the regular season. And I mean, we said why. Like, the strikeout and walks up is good, but for some reason he was giving up a million fucking barrels. His velo was up and down all season.
he found a new gear once October hit. That's for sure.
Listen, whatever you've been doing in the playoffs, keep doing it. Whatever you're doing to prep, whatever's in your water, whatever rituals you're doing, please keep doing it. They lock it up behind Trey Savage and Addison Barger leading the way, which, imagine telling that to someone in March that Trey Savage and Addison Barger were going to be leading the way to playoff wins. Could you imagine that sentence in March?
Imagine a Merch saying, "Hey, we just traded for Andres Jimenez, who's on a pretty gross looking contract. He would save the season."
Like, hearing that in March, that'd be ridiculous. I'd be like, get the fuck out of here, bro. What are you talking about?
I think we should just start talking about Game 7 now, because we all know what happened in Game 6.
Listen, these are the moments that, as a sports fan, you live for these moments here. Whether you're a fan, whether you're a player, whether you're whatever you are, you genuinely, you follow the sport, you play the sport for moments, for games like these.
Game 7, they call it the best 2 words in sports.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I wrote a piece that day. I banged it out in class, right? I just had a thing. I was thinking about Game 7s. I titled the 2 best words in sports, Game 7. There was a little part in there that I personally feel encapsulates the whole Game 7 thing very well. I'm trying to find the exact thing that I wrote here. It's like, listen, if you don't have a stake in a Game 7 as your team's not involved, it's the most exciting ups. Like, you can't ask for anything better. When your team is involved, it's the most exciting thing ever. It's the most nerve-wracking thing ever. You feel so pumped you could run through a wall, but you're also terrified of what's going to happen in 3 hours, right?
Yeah.
I went to this thing. I had some time to kill. I was hanging out with some friends after class. A few of them had went home. I had some time to kill before the game. I had like another hour and a half, and one of my friends She texts me. She says, "Oh, come to this thing." It's basically like you're basically like doing speeches in front of people. They give you prompts and whatever. So I go up there. I'm chilling. I'm not like actually speaking, and I'm checking the clocks. I'm like, all right, first pitch in 20 minutes, 15, whatever. I'm getting ready. I'm like telling myself, all right, I gotta leave in a couple minutes, right? And she goes, "Yo, who in here is hype up the Blue Jays tonight?" Of course, I'm sitting in the back with one of my other friends. It looks right at me. I'm like, shit. And so, unfront, she's like, "Yo, we'll come up here, give a 2-minute thing about the Jays and like what we're feeling tonight." And I'm like, "Oh shit." I didn't even get prep time for what I was saying. I don't even remember everything I said, but I was like, listen, it's pretty much what I just said. It's like, these are literally the moments, the games that you follow the sport for. Like, especially for someone like us where we follow these things so intensely and so closely and we are so passionate about these things.
I mean, a non-sports fan will never know what it's like when your team is like in a situation like this. The feeling, it's an indescribable feeling of nerves, excitement, everything in between.
I still remember what I felt when the Raptors and Sixers were going to Game 7, and
oh my god!
Because respectfully,
I thought I was gonna die.
Respectfully, the Jays and like baseball mean a lot more to me than the Raptors and like basketball do. I was nerve-wracking. I was fucking nervous as balls going into that Game 7.
When Jimmy Butler hit that layup, I thought it was going to overtime. We were going to lose. I was convinced.
Going into that game, I was ridiculously nervous. I've never been more nervous in my life up to that point. It did not
Game 7 for this year.
It did not compare. It did not hold a candle to the things I was feeling going into this game.
Yes,
I was like
100%.
In class, like I was sat down and I was like actively shaking. And one of my other friends, like, okay. Games, like, moments like these are so huge. Even the people who don't follow sports, they know what's up. I go into my lecture and I sit down, and one of my boys, I sit next to one of my boys, and this guy, he's not a sports fan, right? And even he knows what's up. Even my friend who called me into the thing was like, "Yo, pull up this thing." She does not like baseball. She's not a sports person. Even she knows what the fuck is up. She was hype. These are the type of moments that it's not even just the sports fans that gets hype. It gets the fucking city hype. It brings people.
Not even the city, the country. I don't know if you saw the rating numbers, but it was something like over 11 million people.
I'm pretty sure it was the most watched. It was like one of the
over
most...
11. Yeah, it was like 11.5 million people. Had the game on Sportsnet at some point during the game, which is over 20% of the population, which is ridiculous.
It was ridiculous. It was absolutely insane.
But it's like, because the moments that happen in these games, if you're a fan and you're watching, you'll never forget. There are some sports moments that I'll never forget. They're etched in my brain forever. These are the kinds of games that give you those moments.
I finally found the thing that I wrote in this piece. I said, if you have stake in the game, if it's one of your teams, it's simultaneously exciting, it's terrifying, heart-pumping, it's stressful, and uncertain. And I think, honestly, that kind of undersells it. Like, kind of criminally, to be honest. I don't think...
Like I said, it's indescribable to someone who doesn't watch sports or isn't passionate about sports.
You can't.
The feeling that you're feeling there, it's like your life is on the line and you don't know if you're making it out alive or not, basically. That's probably the easiest way to describe it. Like, it's basically like it's a loved one in there and you don't know if they're making it out.
Especially in,
That's what it is.
So, listen, there are certain people that would think... that's like an insane thing to say, but you're on the money. Like, it's ridiculous. Excuse me. It's ridiculous. Like, just how intense something like this is. And you go in,
and especially when it's something that's basically your life. I grew up with, in Toronto, obviously, with some sports. Specifically hockey and baseball were like the two biggest things for me growing up. And it's just my whole life is just kind of revolved around sports in the sense of everything I do. Like we do a baseball podcast. I play sports video games. I go to games, whatever it is. And baseball is just one of the most important things in my life because no matter what's going on outside of the baseball world, I know that I can always just talk about it, look at some stats, and it's an escape in a way. I've been 23 years of my life to see the Blue Jays at this spot. Mm-hmm. So obviously, before the game starts, before Game 7, it doesn't take like a scientist or like a literal genius to be able to tell like I'm nervous for this one.
It doesn't, and one of my other friends, he came over, we watched the game, right? He was working on something. I think he got to my place in like the third inning. And by that point, it was 2-1. They got the run in the first inning. Then the other base hit, obviously. We got it back, bottom one, shout out Varsho, my dog. And then Julio hits. Yeah. By the way, that home run that Julio hit off of Bieber in Game 7.
He should have struck out.
How do you hit that pitch out?
I don't know, but he should have struck out.
That's a slider off the plate. Like, outside off the plate. He pulls it for a home run. I couldn't even, like, obviously that sucks. Like, and that shows that he kind of just has Bieber's number. But at the same time, you can't be, like, too mad at Bieber for that. Because it's like...
No, it was a good pitch. It's the same thing with the Louis Varland one.
You're kind of hoping...
At the end of the day, that's a good pitch, but it's just with a hitter that's... Yeah, where it's a hitter that's just as good as Julio can be.
He's just got it.
Yeah.
It's like the... Talk about it a little bit later, I guess, but in the NLDS Nationals Dodgers, the big home run Rendon hit off a Kershaw on a slider. What was it, like fucking almost at his ankles, and he hits it out. It's like you can't really. Yeah. You just got at the end of the day. It's like that's just tough. But it looked rough. Obviously Raleigh gets another home run. It was the fifth inning, off of Louis Varland, or fourth inning, or whatever the fuck. It was the fifth inning, or sixth, or whatever the fuck it was.
The Cal one?
Yeah, was it fifth inning, sixth inning?
That was the fifth. Yeah,
it was the fifth. And the Blue Jays, they were having some rough AVs, right? They would get, basically how it went was like, you know, they would get like a single with 1 or 2 outs, and then like, you know, they'd fizzle back out, right? And they were having some pretty rough ABs. It was a really...
I mean, just look at the follow-up to the Cal Raleigh home run down two. Mm-hmm. They bring in Brian Wu. Jimenez, who's been incredible this series, draws a walk. Springer strikes out on 3 pitches.
Not to mention, by the way,
the next at bat. Double play to
by the way, that Springer, like I was gonna like, there was some brutal strikeouts. That Springer and Vlad had one like at the start of the next inning. Those were brutal because those are like those are in the other batter's box, bro. Like those are bad ones.
It looked like I'll talk about Springer in particular because I'm not going to say Vlad had an incredible game. Again, he didn't have a bad game, like an awful game, obviously. But it's like Springer. It looked like his knee was really hurt, and
it did.
He was done. Like it looked like he had nothing left. You
could see it in Game 6 as well. He definitely looked a lot better in Game 7. I'm not even just saying that because of what we're going to talk about soon. Even like his swings early in Game 7, like even his other actions, he looked a lot better in Game 6. Like every swing in Game 6, it looked like you could kind of see it in his face, just how much his knee was bothering him, grimacing.
Yes, and they were pitching him hard. They were throwing him right the fuck inside. They were making him uncomfortable. They did exactly what they were supposed to do.
Mm-hmm. And then
the 6th inning comes along. Brian Wu still absolutely just carving up the Jays, and then Gossman comes in the 7th.
They had, I think, Fisher and Fluharty warming up, and then they go on the broadcast and like, yo, big development, and then who else comes in but the Gauzefather. The Gauzefather, bro.
And I'm not going to say that he had a very, calming inning. I mean, he walks the first batter, Victor Robles, which you just can't walk the 9-hitter. And then, obviously, double play from Julio was huge, intentionally walk Cal, and then you lose Naylor on 4 pitches.
That one was
obviously
very rough.
I don't think that the plan was to give him something to hit.
Especially because Naylor has been killing you all series. I think like Naylor was like the last guy I wanted to pitch to that like wasn't Cal.
Yes.
And then he's been killing you all series.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And then Polanco comes up, you get out of the inning, and here comes the 7th inning, and if you know baseball, the 7th inning in the postseason at Rogers Center is a pretty scary thing.
It's a thing, and listen, it comes up. Addison Barger, and he
draws a huge
It's
wall.
the bottom. It's like the bottom third of the lineup, right?
Look, I want to go at bat by at bat here.
I know.
Leading up to
I know.
Because
like we're looking at Addison Barger. He draws the lead off. Keep in mind, it's 7-8-9 going into the bottom of the 7th. This is not the spot that you're expecting guys to, do damage. Like Addison Barger, we know that, he has the ability to pop one out. He hits the ball quite hard. He has potential to do stuff at any given moment. But then you're looking, after that, it's IKF and Andres Jimenez. And again, we do know Andres Jimenez hit the 2 home runs in games 3 and 4 that pretty much like kind of saved the season. But at the same
But
time, that is not
yeah,
a guy that you're counting on for offensive production. In fact, you are kind of.
but the Jays, the timely hits are what brought him to this point
Yep.
as well. So the fact
I
that
remember. I remember being like, "Oh, you have to bring in Davis Schneider here" when IKF was up. I remember also saying like, IKF can slap one here and there, so it's like it might not be the end of the world, but like the play here should have been to bring in Davis Schneider. But regardless, it was fine, right? You
yeah, so obviously Barger, he draws that walk on 5 pitches. And there were some really, really, really close ones. Like the second pitch should have been or Russia, that was a foul. The first pitch, obviously the ball. But the fourth pitch was perfectly on the corner that was taken for and called ball. And it's just kind of like, okay, that's how you know when Barger's locked in. Because I'm not going to say that the umps bailed the Jays out because the umps weren't great for both teams.
in all
But
series,
it's the fact that
all
Barger
series.
is a guy, Barger's a guy who you've seen chase pitches. So the fact that he's taking these close ones, he's locked in.
It was
He
especially
walks.
it was especially refreshing in that moment because the Vlad and Springer strikeouts were really bad. Those were
Yes.
terrible chases.
And this is Brian Wu. This is their best pitcher, well, probably. Depending on how you look at it.
One of their
Best starter.
Even if you don't want to say he's their best pitcher, he's a fantastic pitcher. Best, not best, however you want to look at it. He's great. That's
Yeah.
it's this. He's a tough customer, and then IKF he smacks one up the middle, and all of a fucking sudden.
But let's talk about that IKF at bat because the first pitch, he takes a pitch 94 down the middle. That could not be more down the middle than it was. He takes
It's
it.
not what you want at the end of the day. It's not what you want.
It's like, what are you looking for? And then the second pitch that gets him inside that he fouls off. It's like, now you're in an 0-2 hole quick. Brian Wu's got the Jays 8-hitter exactly where he wants him.
Yep.
And he throws a sweeper that just doesn't, for some reason, just, he missed it. I think he had to have missed his spot. There's no way you throw a 0-2 sweeper like where it was, which was, in the middle of the strike zone. And IKF gets just enough on it to send it up
To send it
middle.
right back up the middle.
92.6 miles an hour off the bat.
All
Barely just flubs it up.
All of a sudden, the Jays have two guys on. The first time they've had back-to-back with base runners the entire game, I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
I don't even think in the first inning any of those came back-to-back.
Yeah, and here's Andres Jimenez, who has had a couple of huge home runs this series already. No outs. 2 on. Brian Wu is still in this game, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a big guy. I'm not a big bunt guy for obvious reasons.
Neither am I.
Especially in a situation like this. I thought that bunt was perfect.
We saw a pretty weird bunt from the Mariners earlier in the game. I can't remember if it was the top of this inning or what it was, but I think it was J.P. Crawford.
Yeah, he tried to bunt for a hit.
Yeah, and it was really weird because
Ernie was playing him I'm pretty sure.
you have oh fuck, where is it? Oh, I missed it. I can't find it anymore.
What?
No, I was looking for the bunt play. I'm looking for it in the game feed on Savant. Whatever. There was a really weird bunt.
Yeah.
At some point, and it was for the 8-hitter to come up next, and it's like, what the fuck? What the hell?
Yeah, Leo Rivas was on deck.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. I can't find it in the game feed, but you know what play I'm talking about.
Yes. Yeah, I do.
And so there's two ways to look at this one here. Jimenez, number one, although he's had a good series, this is your 9-hitter. You have your 1, 2, 3 on deck. You cannot get into a double play here, right? This is not the Castellanos Bryson Stott one, where the guy's on second and that's a tying run and that's it, right? This is not the same situation as that. Even if I don't love bunting, I went back and forth with my friend on this. I was like, this is a good reason to do it. This is a good reason not to do it.
Yeah, and back to what I was saying, at the end of the day, if you get beat, you want to get beat with your best, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the fact that the bunt, I'm obviously going to talk more about the bunt because for a reason, but just the fact that you have guys like Springer, who obviously wasn't looking great, but it's still George Springer, Lucas,
It's still one of
Vlad,
your best
Kirk. You
guys.
have those guys coming up. You can't let the inning end without like a guy like Vlad coming up. You just can't. There's an alternate universe where it's a 1-2-3 inning from Wu, and there's the game.
There's an alternate universe where Jimenez just grounds into a double play and the Blue Jays lose all their steam the season ends.
Yes, but Andres Jimenez bunts.
Because you also have to keep in mind. Hold on, I want to say one more thing. You also have to keep in mind. You have to know this in the back of your mind. Sooner or later, Andres Munoz is coming in. Whether it's the 8th inning, we've seen him do a handful of two inning saves in the playoffs, where he comes in the 9th or whatever. And once Munoz comes in, he's been lights out. It's not looking good for you if he comes in. And you know he's looming. Yeah, and you know he's looming.
Yeah, but here's the bunt, and here's why this bunt is just. It's overlooked, obviously, because he didn't, it's a bunt, right? It wasn't the home run that everyone knows about now. The bunt was huge because it forced Dan Wilson to play his hand. If he doesn't bunt, let's say he swings the bat, let's say he strikes out, grounds out a double play, Brian Wu probably stays in that ballgame.
Honestly, probably.
And the bunt puts second and third, 2 in scoring position with 1 out, where you just needed a single. A single from Springer or Lucas, just a single, and you get away with the double play. The double play's gone now.
You don't need
a single will tie this game. No,
and also,
a single literally ties the game.
Also, one more thing is, again, I just mentioned how Munoz is looming. This, I don't know about what you felt in this moment before. This kind of felt like the last chance. This felt like the last chance.
Yeah,
because like the ABs, even before this inning, the ABs were not looking. They were not having good at bats. They were getting like. A guy gets on a single with like 1 or 2 outs and then it fizzles out as a double play or some bad strikeouts or some shit like that. It felt like really the last shot that they had to get something on, right? And now, you have the two guys on. You have second and third, 1 out. George Springer comes up and.
But first of all, let's talk about the pitching decision here.
Hold on.
They bring. I
want to talk about something before we even talk about the pitching decision.
Yes.
You are in a big pickle if you're Dan Wilson here. Because you have a couple of options. You're thinking, okay, do I walk Springer and set up a force out at home / a double play? If you do, you have Nathan Lucas, who's a really tough hitter. And also, let's say you don't induce a double play out of him. Now you have fucking Vlad Guerrero Jr. coming out with the bases juiced. Which, if I'm Dan Wilson, that is literally the last person on the whole planet that I want to see in that situation, right?
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you're thinking, well, if you get a double play, then we're good. Or do you pitch to Springer, hope you get him, and then hopefully get Lucas, and then get out of the game? It's a really tough decision of what you want to do with Springer here, and I do not think that. A lot of people say that I don't think there was a wrong choice. I don't know if there was a right one per se, and that's not to say that like what he ended up doing in this instance was wrong. In terms of like pitching to Springer or walking him, because regardless of what happens, you're going to have people giving you shit both ways. I think at the end of the day, you kind of had to pitch to him because you don't want to see Vlad in that situation either. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and with Lucas, who, he's been good. It's not like the next batter between the two is some bum who's just going to strike out or double play.
Exactly.
It's a guy you have to worry about. But so Dan Wilson decides. We could bring in the closer here. We could. But let's go with Bizzardo. And first of all, I just want to say Bizzardo had an incredible season this season.
Bizzardo is really good.
About just under 80 innings, and he had a 2.52 ERA.
Yep.
He had he had strikeouts per 9 of 9.38. Mm-hmm. He was very good. The problem is, he was so tired. He pitched 6 innings, which is every single game of the Detroit series. And then he also pitched, before this, 3 out of the 6 games prior in the Toronto series.
Not to mention the day before he pitched 2 innings.
Yes. You're putting in a guy who's tired. He's never pitched this many innings. This season, he pitched 78 2/3. The season before, 27 2/3. The year before, 16. The year before, 16 1/3. This isn't a guy who's used to pitching a lot of innings. He had the most in a regular season by far. And then he pitched almost every single postseason game. but he was good. It's not to say that Bizarro's, he's been bad where it's like you're putting in some terrible
You're
pitcher.
not putting in your
At
low
least
leverage
he
arm.
was good.
But
But
these are the type of
yeah.
things, in the regular season when they say, oh yeah, this reliever, he's not available tonight because he has pitched 2 out of the last 3 or he's pitched 2 back-to-back games.
Yes.
These are the type of things we're talking about. Now, obviously, in the postseason, it's a lot more all hands on deck kind of thing.
Yeah.
I had been saying to my friend, even before the thing happened, I said, oh fuck, I really think they should have Andres Munoz in this situation here. Because, listen, I saw some people in Instagram comments saying, well, if you burn him, how are you going to get through the rest of it? You figure it out when you get there. Because at the end of the day, you need, it's like we said, if you get beat with your best, it's one thing. And again, I'm not going to say Bizarro is not really good. He's not one of their top guys. But Andres Munoz is Andres Munoz, right? He's on another level than most relievers.
Yeah. But on top of that, it's also the fact that this is the meat of the Jays lineup. If you put Munoz in now and then have to take him out, you're gonna have whoever you put in facing guys near the bottom of the order for the Jays. Kirk, who obviously didn't look like like he did in the Yankee series. Varsho, who also didn't look like he did in the Yankee series. Clement, who's good, but then it's just you know what I mean. You're facing the middle and bottom part of the lineup rather than their first. And that's a big thing I do want to talk about. It is the fact that the bottom of the order for the Jays were dangerous, no doubt. I was looking at a comparison. The 7 through 9 hitters in the ALCS, the Mariners had a 365 OPS, 0 home runs, 20 strikeouts, and only 2 RBIs. 7 through 9 for the Jays, 838 OPS, 4 home runs, and only 9 strikeouts compared to 20.
And the other thing...
Definitely way better.
I want to talk about one more thing with Munoz. He's a very good pitcher at inducing ground balls and limiting hard contact. His ground ball rate in the regular season, 87th percentile. His barrel rate, 79th percentile. So you're eliminating the potential for damage. Even if you get a routine grounder to the shortstop and you concede the run, you still have the lead, right? And now it's 2 outs. Even if the guy gets to third, it's still 2 outs. You still have the lead, right? His home runs per 9 were... I think, what was it, .029 in the regular season. Like, he does not allow damage, right?
Yes.
You have a multiple run lead.
Yeah.
This is the biggest spot that you have seen all season. I understand that Bizarro is a high leverage guy for you. He's really good. I am not taking anything away from him. I'm not trying to discredit him. But you need to go with your best guy here, right? I understand, in theory, that's his role. It's the 9th inning. It's to close the game, whatever. You might not get that opportunity. And so worry about who's bringing it in the 9th when you get there. Do you remember what they did in 2022 when they had the big comeback? They brought in, I'm pretty sure Munoz pitched the 8th or something. And they brought George Kirby in to close the game in the 9th.
Yes. You could have done something like that again. You worry about that after it already, like, you know what I mean? That's not something that you're focusing on, like, oh, who's going to pitch the 8th or the 9th then? You just want to get through this inning with the lead, especially with the couple base runners getting on.
Because, again, at the end of the day, you can say, well, how are you going to manage this part of the game? You worry about that when you get there, because at the end of the day, you might not be in a leading position if you make the wrong move now. You know what I mean?
And guess what? Not a single Mariner threw a pitch in the 9th inning, so...
Yep. Bizarro... First pitch.
But, yeah, anyway, Bizarro comes into the game. Dan Wilson had a decision, and he made it. Whether or not it was necessarily the right decision is something else. But the first pitch that he throws, sinker inside ball 1, and I love that pitch from Bizarro.
It was a great pitch.
Force Springer to do something. Make him uncomfortable like you've been doing. With that injury, he would have, if he wanted to swing at that, it would have been a very awkward swing that he probably would have... he could have tweaked something, whatever. Like, that was a very weird pitch to hit or to swing at.
Let me tell you something.
I think he did a great job brushing him off the plate.
Let me tell you something really quick. Going into this, I was texting one of my friends really back and forth. This is one of my boys at uni who, like, we're both we're the baseball guys, like, in our program, right? I'd seen him earlier that day, and we were texting back and forth throughout the entire game, right? And when Bizarro comes in, he texts me. He says, oh, okay, so this is what happened. So, massive single, here we go. And that was when I came for the single, right? So please get it done. I said, I can't say anything here, but Unk, please save me. And he goes, his sinker runs towards your barrel, Unk. Catch it out front, Pulled
Oh, I
fly
saw that. You
ball
put that on
meta.
Instagram.
Pulled fly ball
Yeah.
meta, right? It's 1-0.
He gets that pitch.
He throws the sinker inside again. And holy fuck.
Yeah, it was pretty obvious what he was trying to do there. He was trying to do something similar to the first pitch, but obviously a little bit more towards the plate. He was trying to throw a sinker inside and kind of jam him a bit, which in reality, if he executed that pitch, it would have worked.
It would have.
But this is a pitch that it didn't have the same spin. It didn't, and it was a hanger compared to the other one.
Mm-hmm.
It had 3 more inches of drop. It went more inside. The way the pitch was, that was in Springer's wheelhouse. That's a pitch that he's been hitting all season. You can't throw that pitch where it is.
Fastballs inside to sluggers are like barbecue chicken.
If you throw it anywhere in between where the first pitch and the second pitch ended up, you probably are fine. I'm not saying that he doesn't do something later in the at-bat, but I'm saying in that moment you're fine. He's probably not hitting it out.
Yep.
The issue is that where it was, he hung that. You gotta make sure if you're missing, you miss like you did with the first pitch, where you're putting in a spot where he can't hit it out or even just make contact for the most part. But he just missed. And in that moment, everything changed. The history of baseball, as crazy as it sounds, the history of the sport changed with that pitch.
That was the biggest Toronto sports moment since Joe Carter walked off the Phillies, and it's not close either. It's not close.
No. The Bautista moment was absolutely emotional because of first of all, it was the first playoff since that run, since the World Series run, and it was the whole emotions with the game, with the bad calls, the people throwing stuff, getting
the comeback
angry,
as well,
the comeback, and then the bat flip. Everything about it was perfect.
Also,
poor Springer did.
Also, one more thing. Also, the fact that like Bautista was the franchise player for like 6 years at that point, so it just hit a little more different. But respectfully, George Springer, that home run, mogs the bat flip, mogs the Edwin walk-off, mogs the Kawhi Leonard shot. It mogs all of those.
Yeah, and look, like, the thing with that is, what I was saying before it was, come on, Springer, like, this exact at-bat is why we gave you the money. Earn it right now.
This is what you do.
Earn the entire contract with one swing. And he did.
And he puts it into the left field seats.
I was in shock, dude. I have the Joe Davis call engraved in my brain already. Like, that's something I'll never forget. And I wasn't even watching that feed.
I got up because I was like, wait, holy fuck, is this gonna go? My friend was still sitting down. I don't think he thought it was getting out. And then it hits the seats, and we start freaking the fuck out. I call my other friend, and I'm like, listen. We had this conversation, me and him, earlier that day. He's like, yo, George Springer, Kirk Gibson moment tonight? This was his Kirk Gibson moment.
I think what made it, obviously the emotion, the home run, the celebration, but what really just kind of hit so hard that made me, like, get literal chills was the fan catching it. He turns around, jumps up and down. He's wearing number 4 on his jersey.
Oh, man.
Like, that, I'm getting chills right now. That is just, how could you not be romantic about baseball?
You can't not be romantic. And this is the biggest LCS home run since what? You want to say?
Well, technically since last year, but
I guess.
But I get what you're saying.
Like the craziest LCS home run.
Ishikawa, maybe.
Yeah, Ishikawa. You want to maybe say Altuve, but again, that was also a Game 6.
Actually, yeah, I would say the Altuve because the Ishikawa one was a Game 5, right?
True.
So I guess, yeah, I would say the Altuve, the walk-off, because that was a Game 6, and it was literally a walk-off. It wasn't like where the Springer wasn't a walk-off, but obviously was just as big, if not bigger, considering it was a Game 7.
Also, to be fair, the Jays were down in this game. I think
it was a 3-1
game.
They
were tied, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because LeMahieu hit the home run on the top of the inning to tie the game. That's right.
But just 1-0 pitch. High fly ball.
I've probably
Rosarena. What does it go? Dude, what a call.
I've watched that a ridiculous amount of time. I'm not even kidding. I send that video when I send normal text messages right now. Like I asked my friend how long you hear after your class tomorrow, and I attach that video with it. Like, I just have to. It has to do it for the culture.
The picture of Springer, the specific one of him like jumping with him looking at the camera, not the one where he's away, where he was like down the first base line looking towards like the dugout where the camera was, is one of my favorite pictures ever.
There is
of anything.
You know what my favorite one is from that? Hold on, I'm gonna pull.
I'm remember. Just to show how big the moment was. That was the first time I ever bought a newspaper, just because I wanted to have the newspaper of it saying "Touch 'em all, George." I just needed that.
I can't remember where to find the actual picture of it, but I wrote a thing about that home run later, and I used this picture. I'm gonna send you the post. I don't remember where the actual picture they came from. I think it was from the MLB account. That picture right there, it shows him jumping his hands up and the crowd's behind him. Holy!
That reminds me of the Joe Carter when he was jumping.
That fucking gave me chills. I don't think I've ever screamed louder in my life. And for anyone who doesn't know, I was there when Vlad hit the grand slam in game 2, which granted that doesn't hold a fucking candle to this. I was there when Edwin walked off the Orioles. I was in the building. I was right behind the right field foul netting. I was there. I don't think I've ever screamed louder in my life than when George Springer hit that fucking home run. I don't think I've ever felt more hyped up, more amped, more energy
my
in
reaction.
My life.
My reaction, I like right when it was hit, I literally like sit up. I'm like, cause I'm like, well, I get up. I'm like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, and then I just start like screaming.
Me and my friend were fucking scream. We probably shook the whole building, bro. We probably single-handedly shook the whole building. It was insane. These are the type of moments that you follow the sport for. If you're a player, these are the moments that you dream about. You hit off that tee in your backyard and you say to yourself, Game 7 of the championship series. They're down 3-1. There's 2 men on. And then you imagine yourself hitting the home run. Those are the type of moments that you imagined yourself in, right? If you're following, these are the type of moments that you fucking live for to watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These are the moments that make legends. These are the moments that people are never going to forget. I wrote about this, and I kind of put the George Springer homer into context, like, given like a bunch of other like iconic Toronto sports moments since Joe Carter. And also, a funny thing to think about is like almost all the iconic ones, except for the Kawhi shot. No, literally all the, like, they're almost all Jays ones, which is really kind of funny. Unless you like go down a little further and you go like TFC and Argos, I'm sure they have stuff, but they aren't nearly as like culturally significant to Toronto as like the Jays or the Raptors or anything like that, right? But like, you put it into perspective. I'm sure so many people, even non-sports fans, they probably know who Joey Bats is, right? Anyone who followed the Jays, they know where they were when Bautista hit that home run. They know where they were when Edwin hit that home run. Fuck, underrated one. They know where they were when the Donaldson dash happened, right? They know where they were when Kawhi Leonard hit the shot against the Sixers. People are never going to forget this. Not to mention, number one, this mogs each and every single one of those moments. It clears them. It's not close. But also keep in mind, right? Joe Carter, that might be one of the biggest home runs in the history of the sport, period. Like a walk-off to win the World Series, you can't really ask for much better than that, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people, keep in mind, this was 32 years ago, a lot of people weren't around for that. There's a lot of people who either weren't born then or were too young to remember it. Or, like, too young to, like, actually, like, know what was going on or know what a fucking baseball was, right? For a lot of people, they have never seen the Jays go this far, right? I'm 21. I've never seen them make it this far. The furthest I've seen them make it was when they went 6 against the Royals. That's the furthest I've seen them make it.
Yeah. I mean, fuck. Like, that is just something that's engraved in my brain for the rest of my life.
And this is one where if the inning doesn't go your way, the season is over. There's no tomorrow. But if it goes your way, and it did, you fucking move on. This is why.
Yeah.
Listen. Big time players, they make big time plays in big time games. That's George Springer right there. That's the type of thing that you envision, even if it's not this kind of moment, you envision him leading your team in a big series. Him getting it done when it matters the most.
And do you want to hear something crazy about the series in general? Like, I know we were talking about I was talking about the viewership on Sportsnet in Canada. I remember a lot of people when it was the Blue Jays that advanced and the Mariners, it was kind of like people were like, oh, no one's gonna watch, whatever, who cares about these teams. That was the most watched ALCS game on any network since 2017 with 9 million viewers.
Yep.
I'm not saying that means that, these teams are bigger than the Yankees, but it just goes to show that saying that, the viewers are going to be terrible is just complete utter bullshit.
That's ridiculous. It always was ridiculous. But holy fuck, man. George Springer. Like, again, anyone who doesn't watch sports, they don't get it. They don't get it. Anyone who doesn't listen, if you're for some reason listening to this so far and you don't follow sports, I feel so bad for you. I feel so bad for you. I wish you happiness for the rest of your life, because I don't know where you're gonna get it if you're not getting it from shit like this, man. Because holy fuck, this was insane. And also not just that. There's a little bit more context that goes into the Springer home run, right? George Springer 9 months ago looked like a cooked product.
Yeah,
he was not good
there were
in 23.
people calling for him to be released, to be DFA'd, to be traded, whatever.
I was
and it was at the point where I don't think any major league team would have even taken that contract on in a trade, if I'm being completely honest with you.
I would have told you in the offseason, and I still do not think this was a bad take at the time. It just, things just age poorly. It's just it is what it is, right? There's a lot of things that would back up this belief. Was that I think a big thing that should have been a priority last offseason, and this is what I would have said then. Obviously, I'm so glad they didn't. Would be you got to see if there's a way to get off that deal, because it's like bunch of money. He looks cooked. He's getting older. He's had elbow issues and this and that. He's had injury problems. It's not looking good. And then in Game 5, he gets hit on the knee by Brian Wu. And Brian Wu was responsible for those base runners. He didn't hit the home run off of Brian Wu. You saw, actually, you linked me the edit, the fucking 50 Cent fucking Many Men edit.
Well, I have a question. Are you a Tragically Hip fan?
Kinda. I mean,
you know the song Bob Cajun?
I don't know the song by name, but
I'll send it to you after. But someone put that over the home run, and it's just it made me like almost tear up.
Oh my
god. But yeah, it was because it's just the lyrics and everything.
We were me and my friend, we were so loud after that home run that later my roommate was like, "Yo, can you guys quiet down a little bit?" And I'm thinking, "Motherfucker, you're a sports fan. You're literally a basketball fan. What the fuck you mean? You gotta know what's going on." I'm kidding, obviously, but
I went to go to TikTok right now to go get it to send to you, and I'm seeing my good friend Perdomo is live on TikTok. Maybe I should say hi.
Shout out, bro. Shout out your boy. But no, man, that's moments that no one's ever going to forget. I'm never going to forget where I was. I'm not going to forget who I was with. It's one of those moments. It's the single biggest sporting moment that I've experienced in my life. That I've been in the building for, watched on TV or whatever. And it's not close. This is the Toronto sports moment of a lot of fans' lifetimes.
I will say this. I 1,000% will admit it here. This is the truth. I probably was tearing up for a half hour from when it ended to a half hour after it. I was in literal tears.
Yeah. Let's talk about the rest of the game really quick. Right?
Yeah. That's true. We're still talking about the seventh inning.
We're still talking about the seventh inning. We've been talking about this inning forever. Anyways, let's go on.
Yeah.
Chris Bassett comes... Okay, whatever. They don't get anything the rest of the inning. Whatever.
Chris Bassett was pumping like 95, 96.
Fucking
by the
Chris
way.
Bassett, dude. You remember when they were saying in the in those little simulated outings, like before the DS, like his
He
velo
looked
was down.
unfucking believable, man.
Dude, he
That inning.
comes out, and you know what's crazy is you could kind of tell that they didn't really trust, like, because they had Braden Fisher out, they flew out. You can tell they kind of didn't trust them. You can tell they didn't trust him.
I mean, put it this way: you're not throwing him in the 8th inning of a Game 7 if you don't trust him.
You're not.
A little, so.
You're not. And so here they go. Here's Bassett, right after the Godfather, by the way, comes in. Boom, boom, boom. You're going bottom 8. Here comes Andres Munoz, who, again, I believe he should have come in the 7th. He should have come in for top order.
Back to what you said, I don't think this is nearly as bad as the Britain one, because first of all, the one against the Orioles was a 11 inning game, so that's an extra 2 innings in which he didn't. Well, technically 3 innings in which he didn't come in. And also, well, Andres Munoz, one of the best pitchers in baseball, like relief pitchers, Zach Britton had arguably the greatest relief pitching year of all time.
This is true.
Year.
This is true.
So that's why I don't.
Also, Bizarro and Ubaldo are not the same, but
yes, Ubaldo had like a 5.5 ERA that season as well. So that's
Ubaldo
why I don't
should not have been seeing that spot, let alone the fucking meat of the order. Like,
yes, but I do agree that this was definitely a questionable choice.
I will fully say it's like it's a historically bad blunder.
Yes.
Even I understand Bizardo's good, but you got to go with your top guy there, top of the order, whatever, right?
I can agree with that. I just don't think it's as bad as the Britain. I don't think it's really even close. Yeah. I'd say the Britain is probably one of the worst ones ever.
You could at the very least try and rationalize.
Put in the closer.
You could at the very least try and rationalize with the Munoz one, like, okay, you in theory have like 2 more innings to score, and you're still up 2. The Britain one, you were as back up against the wall as you could possibly be. The
it's literally just every. I remember that game so well. Every game, or not every game, every inning, I was like, all right, well, we got to fucking score. Britain's coming into the game. He just never did.
He would like. So I was at that game again, and I was right where the Orioles bullpen was, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
We were standing. There was this little standing section that. Normally they won't let you stand at. I don't know if they changed it now. I haven't been there in a long time, like in that area. But normally they'll have like people like posted up there, like if they have like a wheelchair or something like that, right? And usually what we would do is we would go there. It's a better view. If someone needs to come in because they have a wheelchair, whatever, we'll clear a spot. We'll take it, right? The security at that time, they just wouldn't let you go there, period. And it's like, okay, so what if we just give it whatever? Anyways, we knew this guy who worked there, and he would low-key let us go there, right? And this one guy, he comes up to us. He's working. He's like, "Yo, do you have tickets to like be in this spot, or you can't be there?" He shows him his ID that he works there, and the guy backs the fuck off, does not bother us the rest of the game. So we're there right by the bullpen, right? And if I remember correctly, Britain over the course of like a couple innings, he'd be warming up, and then he'd be sitting back down, and then he'd warm up again, and then sit back down. I'm pretty sure he was warming up when the home run was hit, if I remember correctly. But
I remember someone posted a picture. It was a game used jersey. Of Britain. It had, you've seen that, right? It was the game used jersey. It had the 20. Oh, I'll send it to you. It was signed. It has the 2016 postseason patch on the jersey. And somebody asked, "Is this game used?" Britain responds, short answer, no.
That's so funny,
that
bro.
To you right now.
I don't think I've seen that, but that's just when I just heard game used, I'm like, oh, that's so funny.
That is an all-time moment on Twitter.
Short answer, no.
I just sent it. Dude.
Oh no, wait, no, I have seen this. Yeah. I didn't know it was a Twitter reaction. I was thinking, yeah, never mind. Oh my god, funny. That's so funny. Anyways, back to this though. They bring in Munoz. They actually get the first 2 runners on, and then a pretty unlucky double play. It was a really hard line out. You can't really do much about it. And then they're going top 9. They get another out, whatever. Top 9. Here comes Jeff Hoffman, right? Who, keep in mind, he pitched 2 innings the night before, struck out 4. He threw, I think, the most pitches he had ever thrown in a game all season. That game. Like the night before, like 35 pitches or something like that. That very easily could have gone south, and it's very easy to forget it now. Especially considering like the overworked stuff during the middle of the season and stuff. He comes in and he's facing 8-9-1, right? So you're looking at that and you're going, all right. Even if it gets to Julio, he's due up third. Rivas gets him swinging. Boom, one down. Dominic Canzone, he comes in to pinch it for Victor Robles. Gets him swinging. It's two down. And here's Julio Rodriguez. Has 2 hits in the game. He had the double to lead off the game. He has the home run off of Bieber. Ethan, what were you saying when he came up right here?
When Julio came up?
Yeah, in the 9th inning.
Here's the funny thing. Okay. I was nervous the entire game, and throughout the entire season, especially late in the season, whenever Hoffman was coming up, my heart was pounding. And I'm not going to say I wasn't nervous there, but something about what Hoffman's been doing recently, as long as he didn't give him something to hit, I think we could have been fine, because Julio's been, well, he has had some huge hits and home runs this series. He's also been chasing. He does chase. That's
yep,
something he does.
That is a thing he does.
And it was just kind of like, it was kind of like, all right, I trust Hoffman here, but obviously I was still nervous. But I definitely had more trust in Hoffman in this outing than I did any other. It's also the fact of where the lineup was, but obviously, again, I was still so nervous.
It's game 7. You're up by one swing inside the game. Like it's as intense as you can get.
But it's the fact that we were winning, I guess, that kind of eased it a bit. If it was tied, I would have been like actually like dying. But
he comes up. It gets to, I think, a 2-0 count to start. I think, right? If I'm remembering this correctly, it was a 2-0 count. All of a sudden, he gets a strike in there. And then it's 2-2. And then it's a ball. It's a full count. I think if I'm remembering the sequence right, I don't have anything pulled up. I'm going literally off of memory. And then he throws him a breaking ball. And it's a chase. You know, you said, yeah, he chases. That's the thing he does. He chased this motherfucker. It was
I'm
a
sure
rough
you've
one.
seen the video of the Julio scream after.
Yup.
That's the sound of a guy who knows that he didn't come up clutch there.
Now, to be fair, they would not have been in this position without him. Let's also make that clear. But that's a rough one. That's a rough one right there. It's brutal. It's one thing if, like, you hit a hard grounder and the third baseman snags it, but in, like, a lot of scenarios it's probably a base hit and they just get you at first. This was rough because that's a bad pitch. Maybe it's, you can't foul off anything close, or you can't let anything close go by. Granted, this one wasn't close. But, man, he gets him. Also, low-key, underrated thing, he foul-tipped it and Kirk caught it. Beautiful thing. And the Toronto Blue Jays, they punched their ticket to the World Series. Their first one since 1993. 1993. 32 years since they had got there. And what a game. What a game. What a series. What a game. What a series. Me and my friend, we instantly went right down to the Dome, Union, that area. As we were walking down Yonge Street, those people, they're honking their horns. People, right as we get out and we step on to, the first block we step on, there's all these kids celebrating, and we're fucking like, let's fucking go! Like, oh, it was beautiful, bro. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. Walking down, there's people in their jerseys, there's people in the trucks are honking their horn, there's this guy in the fire truck and he gets on the little mic thing and he's like, let's go Blue Jays, and we're like, fuck yeah. That's the shit right there. We get down, I'm sure you saw the videos of the Dome right after, it was jumping. Dome was jumping. You probably saw some of the videos I posted too.
Yeah.
It was jumping, man. Because, like, again, in a lot of these, there's a lot of fans who, they didn't see those 90s teams. They were too young. They weren't around when those teams went to the World Series and they won back-to-back. I wasn't around. You weren't around. Some of you listening, I'm sure, weren't around. It's special. It's a special thing. It's a really, really special thing. And with all due respect, however loud anyone was, you weren't loud enough. No, I'm just kidding. But it was euphoric, to say the least. I said in that little speech that I gave in that little thing that I told you about before the game, right? I said, in 3 hours, I'm either going to be like, it's either going to be one of the most heartbreaking and crushing moments of my life, or it's going to be one of the most joyous and euphoric moments of my life. It was the latter. It was the latter. Oh, man. Talk to me, Ethan. Talk to me. What were we saying after the game?
I wasn't saying much. I was just taking it all in,
It did not feel... It felt surreal.
Obviously, I don't live downtown, so it would have been much harder for me to get there for, like, downtown, but, like, just even being able to hear, like, I was hearing fireworks, and you could hear cars honking, everyone was going nuts, like,
Instantly when the game ended,
one of those
opened my window, and we heard it.
It's one of those moments where it's like not just the city but the country feels united.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when you're watching the Olympics and like Canada wins gold in hockey, like Sidney Crosby in 2010, for example. It's like the country, it feels like one huge family. It just feels like 40 plus million people who are getting together no matter what teams they like in other sports. The biggest rivalries, like, Leafs and Habs fans coming together. And it's just one huge family just cheering for this group of guys to get it done. And it just makes you feel so proud to be Canadian and from this city and this country. It does. And it's even better to see it, the MVP of the series, the guy who signed 14 years because he's committed, is from this country, born in this country, and is staying in this country for his whole career. It's just, I can't even express how much this means.
You can't. Anything that like could theoretically be said would be underselling it. Like quite easily.
It's like I said about people who aren't really into sports not understanding what a Game 7 means. If you're not really into sports, you don't understand why this could be so emotional for somebody. Mm-hmm. Like to some random person, it could just be a game, and it's just, oh well, who cares if they lost? They would have played again next year, and it's like, people just don't understand.
You don't get it. You wouldn't get it. So that one joke, you wouldn't get it. Oh man. All right. I think it's time we move on to the big one. Let's talk about the World Series right now.
The Fall Classic.
The Toronto Blue Jays and the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Blue Jays are trying to get their first win in 32 years. The Dodgers are trying to go back to back. Right?
They're trying to get their first win in one whole year.
In 365 days. It's crazy, man. No. They're trying to repeat. The Jays are trying to break a little bit of a drought that they're in. These are two really good teams. Also, by the way, just one thing that was also really satisfying. I don't have to deal with Yankees fans saying, "Oh, our win was your World Series." The fucking stupid ass bullshit, bro.
Nah. Yeah, I mean,
my World Series is the World Series, so fuck off. Fuck all of you.
You know what I think is actually so funny to me?
What?
It was the fact that, so did you see the fans that were chanting, "Fuck the Yankees"?
Yes. I was down there.
Yankees fans, yeah, so Yankees fans are like, oh, true. But Yankees fans are like, oh, of course you're making it about us. They were shit-talking us the entire way before our series, through the whole regular season, through our series, after our series, through this series, preying on our downfall.
Oh my god.
Yeah, we're gonna rub it in a little the one time that we go farther than them.
When they went down 2-0, oh my god, the Yankees merchants tweets were flying. Holy
yeah, and it's just funny because if the Jays would have gotten swept, like the Yankees fans were saying was going to happen,
the Yankees would not.
Wouldn't that mean the Yankees were just even? Wouldn't that just mean that the Yankees were even worse?
Also, I'm gonna put it out there because listen, as someone who's actually there, I promise we don't love you like that. You're not that special. We were chanting "fuck the Dodgers" down there too. All right, there was a lot of people saying "fuck the Mariners," "fuck Julio," "fuck this," "fuck all that." Y'all are not that special, I promise you. if you would like to continue to live in a world that, in a delusion where you believe that the sports world and the baseball world revolves around you, you can freely continue to do so. I can't stop you, and there is objectively nothing wrong with that. But I want you to know you're an incredibly fucking massive moron. You half of your brain is probably missing. Okay. Listen, the fuck the Dodgers chants were flying. We want Dodgers was flying. People were saying fuck the Mariners, fuck Julio, fuck Cal, fuck Polanco, fuck all these guys. Every single one was flying. I promise you guys, you're not special. I promise you. Don't talk to me about this. You're still thinking about it. Don't fucking talk to me about this bullshit, bro. Anyway, sorry, I had to get that off. Anyways, the World Series, man. The Jays and the Dodgers. The big, bad Dodgers, man. This is going to be a series. A lot of people have... Okay, also, one more thing. I don't want to see these corny-ass Drake and Kendrick tweets anymore. Like...
Yeah, because nobody cares about the beef.
Like,
I mean...
These are annoying, bro. I'm not a Drake fan, but these are fucking annoying at this point. Like...
I am a Drake fan. It's annoying.
It's stupid. Like, okay, fuck, like, shut up. Who gives a fuck? Anyways... I promise that's the last little tangent I want to get off on.
The World Series, the big one, the Fall Classic, whatever you want to call it. It's coming up soon.
What you watch 162 games for. This is what you play all these games for. To get to this moment and to hopefully hoist that trophy at the end of it. These are two teams that are absolutely incredible. The Dodgers obviously are stacked. They have star power. The Jays have a lot of talent as well. The Dodgers are very clearly favored in this series. Like, they have more star power on their roster. I think they're favored in the betting odds. All of this, I'm sure. I don't know if a lot of the expert panels picks have dropped yet. I haven't seen them if they have. But they're probably a lot of them are going to favor the Dodgers, I would think. Right? And I'm not going to act like that's an outlandish thing to say. Like, that's a really good team. But fuck, man, we're going to have a good series on our hands, I think. Let's break this down. There's some key things that are going to be really interesting to watch here. The Dodgers rotation, we talked about it when we were talking about the NLCS. That rotation's fucked. That rotation's insane. Right?
Yeah. Generational, honestly, for lack of a better term.
All-time rotation. Like, Ohtani's going to start, what, Game 4 probably? Like, you don't understand how ridiculous that is? Actually, have they released their World Series rotation already? I don't know if they have. If they have, I haven't seen it. But, like, you're facing Cy Young balloters every game. Every single game. You're not getting any slouches in this series. You're getting none. So that's going to be a really interesting matchup because they shut the fuck down. They shut the Brewers lineup the fuck down. Now, the Brewers lineup is not the Blue Jays lineup, right? The Blue Jays were the highest on-base percentage team in baseball this year. Now, granted, the Brewers were second. But the Blue Jays also do one thing a lot better than the Brewers that plays a lot more in October, Ethan. You know what that is?
What is it?
It's the power. They're not the Yankees. They're not the Mariners. Hell, they're not the Dodgers in that aspect. But they have a lot more power in that lineup than the Brewers do. The Brewers were like 20-something if and I mean, remember.
The Blue Jays have the most home runs out of any team right now.
Exactly.
In the postseason.
And
have scored the most amount of runs by 22.
That's not a coincidence.
No,
that's not a coincidence.
That's what's really going to be interesting because you have one of the greatest pitching staffs, I'll say, because I'll give them that of all time, going up against one of the deepest lineups we've ever seen in a postseason.
Mm-hmm.
What the Blue Jays are doing right now from 1 through 9 with the lineup has been nothing short of insane, right?
It's not even just that they're a very productive lineup. They're a really difficult lineup to deal with, and that's going to be an interesting thing to see how that matches up against the Dodgers starters. the Dodgers starters and the Blue Jays lineup. The Blue Jays lineup is incredibly difficult to deal with, right? They make at bats so tough. They foul off a lot of pitches. They see a lot of pitches. It's a tough. It's tough. They're really tough to deal with. Albeit though, while the Dodgers rotation is not the Mariners rotation, it is significantly better. The Blue Jays were getting to the Mariners starters, with the exception of like Bryce Miller and I guess Kirby in Game 7. They weren't getting to the Mariners starters. They got to Logan Gilbert twice. They chased Luis Castillo in the third inning. George Kirby, they scored 8 off of him in Game 3. Like, they were getting to those starters, and those are some really good pitchers. Again, it's not the Dodgers rotation. I'm not going to sit here and act like it is, but that's a tough rotation, but they also have their hands full. The Blue Jays lineup is not the Brewers lineup either. So it goes both ways. It's going to be really interesting. The Dodgers bullpen does have question marks, and I'm not going to say every pitcher in there is not good. I'm not going to sit here and spread misinformation on the Down the Line Baseball podcast. That's not going to happen. They have some good pitchers down there, but as a whole, their bullpen isn't that great. And I mean, we've said it multiple times. We've said it numerous times. That bullpen is a big question mark for the team, right?
100%.
So
and
if you can,
again, they have some great players in that bullpen that have had very good careers that are even are doing well now. But it's just when it comes down to like a guy like Blake Trinan recently, guys like that's when it becomes a bit iffy. So obviously you're gonna want to get to the starters early. You want to make them as miserable as possible. Just, you know what I mean? You want to make them get out of the game as soon as possible and get to the bullpen. That's obviously weaker than the rotation. Mm-hmm. Again, not to say that the bullpen is necessarily awful, but I mean, we did see all season that, their bullpen was probably not where they wanted it to be, obviously. Mm-hmm. They were, in terms of ERA, they were in the bottom 10. And for a team like the Dodgers, that's not really what you expect. But yeah, I mean, you look at specifically in this postseason for the Dodgers, they have a 4.88 ERA, that bullpen. A lot of it is inflated from that one Kershaw outing where he gave up the 5 runs, but it's also the fact that outside of Rogie, they don't really have a relief pitcher that's complete shutdown. Mm-hmm. We saw Glasnow out of the pen, which obviously that would help, but he's not like an actual reliever.
I think you only saw him,
as a...
You saw him in one of the games in the Philly series, I think, but they also had they had extra off days that the AL teams didn't in that series.
Yeah.
So like kind of.
But yeah, like Anthony Banda, Banda's been solid in limited innings. Vesia's been pretty good. But yeah, like Emmett Sheehan got rocked. And I don't know if you're gonna really trust a guy like some of the lower leverage arms that they threw out there, like Edgardo Henriquez and Jack Dreyer. Rocky's really the only guy in that bullpen that scares me any given night. Mm-hmm. Like I think that you can rattle off some runs on a Trinan, on Vesia, and Banda. I can't really say the same for Roki. He's been almost flawless.
Yeah, he's their shutdown guy. He's been electric in the postseason.
And it's just that's why it's so important for the Blue Jays to get to the bullpen. We saw in the Yankee series that was a big thing. We know some of the guys in the Yankee rotation. There's Fried, there's Rodon, there's Schlittler, and they all were very good pitchers throughout the season. And the Blue Jays got to the bullpen, didn't look back.
They chased
That's exactly
early,
what the Blue Jays have to do.
Rodon early, and they basically made it a bullpen game for them from there on out.
And by the time that Schlittler pitched, he had a good outing, but the bullpen was extremely taxed.
Yep.
They really didn't do it, and they couldn't stop the Jays after he left the game. So it's kind of like, it's the same story there for the Blue Jays. Just get to their rotation early, score a couple early runs, put them on the ropes, make them have to make a pitching change.
Yeah, even if you don't light up the Dodgers starters, you need to get those pitch counts high and get into that pen. You can
Yeah.
score 1 run through 5 off of Blake Snell in game 1, but if you can get that pitch count high and get him chased early, even if you can somehow get him chased in the 5th even, that's gonna do a big. That's gonna be big. That's gonna be massive out there. Also, another big thing, the Jays lineup might be getting kind of a boost going into that series. I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Assuming that he actually does end up getting placed on the roster, he did say he'll be ready, but again, the roster hasn't been released yet, so I will withhold until it actually gets released. But assuming Bichette is placed on the roster, which it's sounding pretty likely, he himself said he'll be ready. That's a big boost. There's a slight question in the lineup of what you want to do with like who goes in and out. I really think
especially because Springer, we saw. I don't know how bad his injury is right now, especially with the extra couple days off. But obviously, if that thing that I saw about his wrist is true, that also plays into it. But if Springer can just is able to play the outfield, the corner outfield without getting hurt even more, he doesn't need to be the greatest fielder. Just don't get hurt so we can have the best lineup out there.
I think ideally I think in an ideal world you have Bo DH, you have Springer, and a lot of the mock ones I've seen have had Springer in right, Lucas in left. I'd probably want Lucas in right just because he's a better defensive player.
I also don't know the exact splits of their stats in each, so I'm not gonna just say right now off the top of my head who should play which, but that's why I said corner outfield. But yeah, probably
they
Springer and left.
They probably would end up having Springer in right just because that's what I think. That's probably what they intended to do a little better. I'd have Lucas in right. He's a better defensive outfielder, better arm, but whatever. It's not the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And then you have Bo DH. You probably have Barger go to third. Andre's still at short, and then you have the Earn Dog at second. Is probably how you switch things around.
And it's something that I like to point out here is that something that's interesting to note about both Dodger Stadium and the Rogers Center are that it's very similar dimensions in terms of you look at Dodger Stadium and it's symmetrical. It's 395 to center, 385 to both left and right center, 330 at both the left field pole and the right field pole. Rogers Center, it's not symmetrical, but it is 328 to both left and right. It's not, wonky, so you don't have to worry about, one guy's arm being worse. Like, it's not like you're playing at, it's not like you're playing at Fenway Park where you have the monster, where you have to, like, kind of play it off there, where that could determine who you play in which corner.
Well,
so the fact that the dimensions...
What I was more so thinking is those plays where you're trying to gun a guy down.
No, I get what... No, I 100% understand. I'm just saying, like, so that's something that you don't even have to worry about at all. Like, where, the dimensions go to have a guy there. Like, that's not something that you even have to think about, which is good.
Yeah.
It's just another level that just kind of...
Makes it a little better in that aspect. That's the big thing. For the Dodgers, though, obviously their offense is better. They have probably the second best offense in the league, probably behind the Yankees. They have the star power. They have Ohtani. They have Mookie Betts, who's been better in the playoffs, even if he wasn't great against the Brewers. Freeman. Teoscar Hernandez, man. Teoscar Hernandez. That's the boy.
Okay, this isn't about... Yeah. That reminds me of something I saw. Because someone said it had to have been Teoscar, but it wasn't. Did you see the quote of Dave Roberts on Freddie Freeman?
About them booing Freeman? Who the fuck's gonna?
Yeah, he said Dave Roberts will be confused if Blue Jays fans boo Freddie Freeman because he's Canadian and sued up for Team Canada before. And then he says, "I'm just a little confused. Why? He was traded here. He's a heck of a player and a person. First of all,
he was not
we
traded.
wouldn't boo Freddie. We love Freddie. Second of all, I don't think he was traded.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that was called free agent.
Yeah, you guys signed him. I don't know what question prompted that. Cause who the fuck is booing Freddie Freeman?
I just don't understand where that's coming from. Like, how are you the manager? You don't even know how you got your player.
Like, we're not the Braves. Like, not the Braves would never boo him. We're not the Phillies or the Mets, where it's like a former division rival where he's fucking tormented us. Like, who
Yeah.
the fuck? What Blue Jays fans gonna boo
Because
Freddie Freeman?
because that's the thing. No matter what happens in this series, whether the Jays or the Dodgers win, in a couple months from now in March, every Canadian, most Blue Jay fans are going to be cheering them on when the World Baseball Classic comes.
Yeah,
So we definitely love Freddie here.
that's weird.
The only player that I could see us really booing would be Otani, just because of the stuff that happened in free agency.
And
but
even
it's not
so, that's
because
more of a
we
fucking
hate
John
Otani.
Morosi thing.
Yeah, I mean that's another thing that people say, they don't boo nobody. So if a player's getting booed, if
True.
anything, that should just make them feel better, because you're not booing a guy if he means nothing. You're booing him because
I can see them maybe booing Mookie because he used to be a Red Sox, but I think that's been so long. I don't really think it matters anymore.
But also Mookie's also a very likable player.
That too.
It's not
That
like
too.
that's the thing with the Dodgers. These players aren't. That's why I'm not gonna say I don't care if we win, because obviously I want us to win. But like, on top of the Dodgers being a great team, it's also the fact that they don't really have many unlikable players.
Yeah.
Like on the pitching front, I mean, they got Kershaw, who's fucking Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah.
They have Yamamoto, who's done nothing but just be a great pitcher. They have Shohei, who, yes, I'm still mad about how free agency played out, but you can't hate that
it's
guy.
It's hard to
really.
hate Otani.
Freeman is just one of the most likable players in the sport. Same with Betts. It's just, that's another thing. It's hard to hate them because of just how likable some of the players
Mookie Betts
are.
are ridiculous. Sorry, I didn't mean that to say like I would like Mookie's been one of my favorite
No,
players
I know.
for like ages.
I know what you meant.
He's been one of my favorite players for like 10 years almost. Like even when he
Yeah.
was on the Red Sox, he was still one of my favorite players in the league. But like I don't know, maybe I could see it, but I don't
Great
know.
personality for the game.
I think also like enough time has passed that I doubt people care anymore.
One thing that's funny is MLB I think tweeted out like Springer hitting home runs in the World Series against the Dodgers when he was an Astro, and people are like, oh, but he was cheating. First of all, most of the home runs that series came at Dodger Stadium.
They were not trash canning on the road. I hope y'all know that. Also,
Second of all, Mookie Betts was literally on the Red Sox. Mookie Betts was on the Red Sox team. That your own player you gotta worry about. Like
yeah, yeah. That too. Also, they were not trash canning on the road, and I don't think they were trash canning in the playoffs at all, to be quite honest with you.
And another thing I never understood is their splits were better on the road than at home. So if they were cheating, they
clearly they weren't doing a very good fucking job of it. So
yeah.
Yeah, listen, whoever was in charge of that fucking Carlos Beltran, whoever the fuck it was. That's crazy to think Carlos Beltran played on the team. Anyway,
but back to the actual
World Series now. Their lineup matches up. I actually kind of like the way their lineup matches up against our pitching from like their perspective. They're only going to be seeing righties start, so they're not going to have to worry. It's kind of like what we were doing with the Mariners.
Yeah, that's another thing.
They're not.
Otani was limited heavily in that series against the Phillies, and then for the most part of the Brewers series, because both teams had very good lefties on the bump at some point.
You don't have that.
We don't really have that. We don't have a lefty starter, let alone a good one.
Yeah, unless...
So that's one thing.
Unless, like, the only one you're really seeing all series...
Flowers the only guy that I can think of that could...
Not a starter, but the only one one I'm thinking of is, like, man, I love Flu Hardy, you know?
Yeah, I wouldn't hate Brendan Little in different situations.
Yes, not that type of situation. I don't think that Brendan Little has no place on this team. He has really good stuff. He's a big strikeout guy, even if he's kind of wild. He has a place. That's just not his place. There's a difference.
No.
Depending on the situation, I could see Brendan Little being a guy that could go up against, maybe not him, but like some of the lefties in their lineup, Muncy, whoever else. The other thing is that, like, we don't have... at least in our
also used situationally, like...
Yes.
Coming in to finish an inning rather than to pitch an inning.
Yes,
Like, let's say there's 2 outs with a lefty up, you put him in, get that 1 out, there you go, move to the next, switch the pitch, whatever. Which, in theory, you're looking at it like, oh, you're waiting, why you just use him for the third of an inning? Because it's a huge out.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
And respectfully, I don't know if I want to pitch him more than that, to be honest with you, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like the way that their lineup kind of goes up against our pitching staff. I unfortunately do not like the Shane Bieber matchup into that lineup. I understand Scherzer had a really good start against the Mariners. I also don't like his matchup into their lineup. Yasavich, if he can get his splitter, if his splitter is on, then actually I kind of like him against them, and even Gosman too. If they're both going to be on, then I like those matchups. But like Bieber and Scherzer, I don't really like those matchups. Also, underrated thing, Louis Varland finally gets rest. Louis Varland finally gets to fucking... Listen, they better keep him in an ice bath and not let him leave. That guy has pitched all but one playoff game that the Blue Jays have played in so far. I'm not sure if you noticed, but his velo is down from the start of the playoffs, and it's pretty obvious as to why, I think. It's because he's the first one out of the pen pretty much every single game.
Yeah.
And we've seen how quickly that can turn around and bite you. Game 7.
Yeah.
We saw it. We were on the right side of it, but you take notes. If you burn this guy's arm, which to be honest, like, he's given up some home runs in the postseason. Some of them have not been on great pitches. Like, some of them, like the Judge ones, like, I don't really know what else you want him to do. But on the other hand, it's also like, yeah, you can also see his velo. It's like when he was throwing 101 and struck out Stanton in that big spot against the Yankees in Game 1. He's throwing like 98 now. 98, 99, which doesn't sound like a lot, like 2-3 miles an hour down.
Which I think that, this rest is,
needed. He needs it more than anybody else.
Need that more than anybody else.
Because he's been working like a motherfucker every single time. And sometimes they're asking him to go like 1 and a little bit extra innings. I'm like, holy shit, man. Like, let the guy rest. Give the guy a day off, man. Oh my god. Even the built-in days off, he's still a fucking horse. Underrated thing right there. The Blue Jays, they do have some pretty good ground ballers, though. Like, Varland is one of them. I do think that they have guys, like, for example, I think I kind of like Bassett into their lineup as well. That's another guy who's good at inducing ground balls. Doesn't allow a whole bunch of home runs. I like Bassett into their lineup. Those are some guys I like. Yeah, the other guys I don't. Not as much. The high stuff guys, I think, match up a lot better against them. That's really how you pitch to a lineup like this, like the Dodgers or any other like super high-powered offense like this. You need guys with good stuff. The contact managers are going to have a much higher chance of getting burned. Not to say that games 3 and 4 are an auto loss because of Bieber and Scherzer and they're going to give up 1 million runs, but those guys on paper, the matchup does not go our way as much. It goes a lot more, I think, on paper. It goes more the Dodgers' way. Now, again, it might end up going the other way. Scherzer might have another legacy outing. Bieber might go fucking 7 scoreless. I don't know. That's very possible. But they also very easily could be down 5-0 really quick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you think?
100%.
What are you thinking?
I mean, I don't know. It's just... a series like this is just so hard to even kind of predict. I mean, first of all, you have, the point of baseball being such a random sport compared to the other ones.
Yeah.
And then you have the fact that you have an elite offense versus an elite pitching staff, which not to say, the Jays don't have good pitchers and the Dodgers don't have good hitters, because obviously they do.
Mm-hmm.
But, I don't know. I mean...
The other thing,
I don't know.
The other thing is, if the Blue Jays want to win the series, they need their bullpen to be. Oh, both teams, they need their bullpen to be good. But I think the Dodgers, if your starters are good, it's not as much of a thing. I think the Blue Jays.
Yeah, the Jays need their starters to go deep into games. You have to make it as easy as possible for your bullpen.
Need their bullpen to hold games. I understand that in some time you need more than a 1-run lead. Sometimes you're going to go into the 8th inning with a 1-run lead, and you need to secure that lead. You need to make the right decisions, but you also just need your guys to pitch well, right? We wouldn't be talking about the Brendan Little thing if he pitched well. You know what I mean? A lot of guys in that bullpen have been a little bit shaky. They aren't even really going to, like, Braden Fisher anymore. Like, he's not even getting looks. And I think that says a lot about... I think the fact that they went to Gosman and Bassett in consecutively in Game 7, I think that says a lot about who they do and don't trust in that bullpen. Because they went, if I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm going off of memory, it went from Bieber to Varland. Did it go from Varland right to Gosman? Or no, Sir Anthony was in earlier, right?
I believe it was Sir Anthony, and then it was Gossman.
Gosman, Bassett, and then Hoffman. You didn't go to a
Yes.
Fluharty to no, albeit Fluharty was warming at a certain point in that, and I guess Fisher was as well. They probably would have went to Fluharty if like a situation presented itself that he would be good in, but like they didn't even go to a Fluharty in that game. They didn't even go to a Braden Fisher, right? I think that says a lot about who they do and do. They didn't even go to Yariel Rodriguez. They didn't go to any of those guys. I think that says a lot to me about who they do and do not trust. You're gonna need good outings out of some of those other guys. You're gonna need some good outings out of Braden Fisher, Dodger legend Braden Fisher, by the way. You're gonna need a good
Cavan Biggio.
Cavan Biggio. We do this with you in our souls, bro. We do this with you in our heart. You're gonna need like an outing from him. You're gonna need outings from Fluharty, where those two are gonna hold it down and bridge it a little bit closer to Dominguez and Hoffman and those guys. Also, you don't have to go the same guys in the same order every game. You don't have to bring out Louis Varland as the first guy in every single game. You don't have to do that. You can, like... I understand in certain situations you need to get out of an inning, and that is obviously where you need your big guys. Varland does not have to be the first one out every single time. Eventually, it's going to become kind of predictable, I think. But it is what it is. Varland, admittedly, I really do hope that this rest just kind of helps rejuvenate him a little bit. If he can start getting back up to like 99, 100, that would be like huge. Which again, it sounds like nothing from 98 to 99, but he was 100, 101 start of the playoffs, so it's a lot bigger than it sounds. You know what I mean? But yeah, they're gonna need those guys to be better. The Dodgers, if the Blue Jays get to their starters, the Dodgers are going to need their bullpen to be really good. They might need to go to Sasaki earlier, because Sasaki's basically their closer right now. They might need to go to Sasaki in a high leverage spot in the 6th inning, in the 5th inning, something like that. That gets them out of a jam.
I think Sasaki is the best relief. It's not really like up for debate. I think Sasaki's the best relief pitcher in the series.
Oh yeah, easy.
But I think number 2, 3, and 4, you could all make the argument, are all Blue Jays.
It's all Blue Jays. No, genuinely.
I would say Hoffman, Sir Anthony, and Varland probably.
Yeah, in whatever.
2, 3, 4.
Yeah, in whatever order you want to throw them in, right?
So it's just kind of like, that's where the Blue Jays have the Dodgers, and it's just the depth of the bullpen, where it's not just reliant on one guy. You have a bunch of guys who you can trust.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, that's what it could come down to. It could come down to those games. Let's say the Blue Jays get a couple runs, so do the Dodgers on the rotation, then the bullpens both come in, it's a tie game. That's when you can win the games. When your bullpen, you have the advantage in the bullpen.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to I think the guys like Fisher and those guys who have been kind of pushed back to like middle leverage, I think those are the guys that really need to step up. Because you basically have right now 3 guys in that pen that you are like fully trusting. And you can see that from Game 7, the fact that they didn't even go to Fisher or Fluharty or Little, right? They went right to Gosman and then Bassett from Sir Anthony. They have basically 3 guys in that pen you can trust. You need stuff from like Fisher and Fluharty. You need them to get that status back. Now, Fluharty, I don't really think ever lost it. I just think he's more matchup dependent. But you need, like, Fisher needs to step back up and be who he was in the regular season. You know? That's the kind of thing you need. Yeah. You need those guys. Him, Yariel. You need those guys to step back up. Because as much as you need length from your starters, you also need quality innings from your bullpen. Because you can't bank on your starters going 6 scoreless every game. Because it's just, respectfully, it's just too unlikely to happen to rely on. You need quality outings from your bullpen as well. Because those can be just as important as the starter outings. We've seen it. We saw just how crucial that Game 5 could have been. Right? And how a poor bullpen performance could have swung the series. So.
Yeah.
That's what I got there. Yeah. The Blue Jays also, depending on what their defensive alignment is, depending on whether or not Bichette actually ends up on the roster or not, that is going to be interesting to see how they play things. Who comes in, who comes out. It's probably going to be Springer in the outfield. And then IKF goes out, and then like Barger, Andres, Ernie. Although they're gonna have someone else against Blake Snell, you might finally see fucking the ghost of Davis Schneider come into a game for once.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, they got some lefties. That's definitely. I could honestly see him getting a bunch of starts, especially like in game one. I think that's when Snell's
He's
pitching, so
probably
I
going
think
to
he'll get that
start
start.
against Snell. Although what's funny
Yeah,
is he's like so much better against righties, and they just pretend he doesn't
yeah,
have
but it's
ridiculous
just
wrist
that's
splits,
yeah,
which I think is really funny. But that's where they mostly tended to use him. You're probably going to see him against Snell. You might see him pinch hit late against the lefty, although maybe not because I don't think they did it against the Mariners very much. I don't remember him. I don't even remember seeing him in that series at all. But whatever. That's the kind of thing you'll see. You'll probably see him in the game one. You'll see him start against the lefties probably. Especially if Bichette is in that lineup. Raptors win by 20, by the way. But yeah, that's probably the thing you're going to be looking to see. The Dodgers aren't going to be platooning as much again because the Jays are going to be running 4 right-handers out there. Even if they decide to start Bassett in a game instead of Scherzer, or they run 5-man for whatever fucking reason that they shouldn't run 5-man, but if for some reason they did, in whatever scenario, you're going to only see righties to start. You're only going to see righties, so you're not going to have to play the platoon game. You can basically just run the same lineup out there every day, barring guys hot and not moving guys up and down and stuff. But you don't really have to account for matchup as much because the only guy that would come in, the only guys that would be coming in to shake up a matchup would be like Flew Hardy or Little come in. You know what I mean? You're probably not gonna see Lauer in those super high leverage spots. The high leverage you need a lefty spot would probably go to Flew Hardy, I would think, right?
yeah.
So I don't think the Dodgers are gonna really have to change their lineup up that much. Yeah, man. This is gonna be a series, man. This is gonna be a series. I think both teams, they have some good matchups. They have some poor matchups. They have things that could bite them in the ass. I think they have things that could propel them to victory. We know that. You ready to predict, or you got anything? You got a...
I think I'm ready.
You think you're ready? What do you got from Ethan?
I want the Jays to win more than absolutely anything in this world. I would, give up some body parts for it. Unfortunately, I have Dodgers in 6.
Dodgers in 6?
Again, me picking against the Jays doesn't mean they're going to lose, so...
Listen.
I hope I'm wrong. I really do hope I'm wrong.
I've picked, on the pod, verbally, I have picked the Jays in every round that they've been in. And I've been correct every single time. Why stop now? Give me Toronto in 7, man. Give me Toronto in 7.
I love it. Let's go.
Give me Toronto in 7.
Baby.
I did technically pick the Mariners on my bracket, but if anyone remembers,
yeah.
I did amend it on the ball. I did amend it when we got there. I verbally said, "Hey, I'm changing my prediction." I almost had a perfect AL bracket, if you count that one. I'm glad I didn't, but give me Toronto in 7. Give me Toronto in 7.
All right.
We're ready to move on.
we could talk. Yeah, what do you want to talk about? Or before we do the segment, let's just talk about one more thing. Kurt Suzuki found himself a managerial job.
It's a 1-year deal. Did you see that?
1 year. That's interesting.
It's 1 year.
That's clearly going to be like a transitional guy, just to have a guy that the players already know and are familiar with, like a lot of the guys, and just kind of make the transition smoother until they find their next guy. I don't hate it. I honestly don't think it's. I honestly think Kurt Suzuki could be a better manager than Pujols would.
I think it's
just because Pujols is obviously one of the best players ever, but I personally don't know enough about Pujols as the kind of guy he was in terms of
we don't know what
baseball knowledge.
Yeah,
and
we
stuff.
don't know what he thinks and what he thinks this should happen in this situation. Obviously, we know how good he is, but there's a lot of instances where like really good players, they make really poor like managers or coaches. It happens a lot of the time. That could happen with Pujols, or Pujols could be a fucking like demon and is like the smartest manager ever. Who knows? But yeah, it was weird. When I saw it was a 1 year, I was like, 1 year deal for a manager? What the fuck? Like, who does that?
Yeah, it's not very
That's
common.
weird. That never happens. It'll be interesting to see if that is a transitional thing, or if he ends up getting extended, if they like what they see from him. Because it's not gonna be like, hey, you need to get our team to the playoffs because fucking hell, they need a lot more than a new manager to get to the playoffs. Good lord. Or even close, for that matter. But yeah, that's an interesting one. That was really weird when I saw that. I was like, 1 year deal. Interesting. Okay. Good for him, I guess. That'll be an interesting thing to follow during the season. I'm sure we'll hear more about it as time goes on. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we go into our next segment?
No, I think we can go into it.
All right. So, we've talked about the CS. We've talked about the World Series. We talked about Kurt Suzuki. The highlights of the episode. Yeah. We got another thing to go over really quick. We're doing the very first tier list in Down the Line history. The first tier list in the Down the Line podcast history. We are going to be ranking a bunch of MLB playoff moments. Some caveats in this that I'm going to make clear. These are mostly like recent history, like the past 25 or so years. I think the furthest that we go back on this is 2003. Respectfully, we weren't watching baseball in the 80s and 90s and fucking obviously before that, so we're not going to attempt to rank stuff that happened in those times, okay? There is no World Series moments. I don't remember if I said that before, but there's no World Series moments on this. We're probably going to end up doing a World Series one after the World Series is done. So these are Division Series, Championship Series, Wild Cards. These are a bunch of super iconic moments that we have in here. We're going to go through these. We're going to rank them. Also, we're ranking them relative to each other. So obviously, I'm going to preface, these are all super, like, these are all iconic moments, but not everything can be S tier, respectfully. Yeah, people on the YouTube side, obviously you have the visual. People on the Spotify or Substack side, you have audio. We'll probably be posting this on like our Instagrams and Twitter and stuff all after. So, yes. Ethan, you ready to start?
Yeah.
First, we have Pete Alonso's go-ahead 3-run shot against Devin Williams in the wild card game last year, or in the game 3 of the wild card series last year. So the Mets. So this was tied. This was like a tie series, 1-1. Yeah. The Brewers were up 2-0. This was top of the ninth, 1 out. They could have won the game on a double play right here, but Pete Alonso gave the Mets the lead, and then they ultimately went to the championship series that year, lost to the Dodgers. This is big, man. This is big. Especially for someone, it came from someone who's been there for a long time, Pete Alonso. It came against, like, the best pitcher that you could have possibly seen in that series in Devin Williams. I was thinking either, like, a B or maybe an A. What do you think?
Yeah, I was thinking probably B. I mean, the one thing that really sticks out for me is the fact that, like, it's also what you do after it. In the moment, it was huge. And the Mets, I mean, they needed that, obviously. Mm-hmm. But, again, it's just, if we're going based off of what, kind of happened after that, I don't know, especially because of how they followed it up, like, this year and this season. So it's kind of like, it didn't really lead to that much, and Pete Alonso's probably gone. Now it's just kind of, that's my thought process for not giving it an A, and I don't think S would even be considerate.
Yeah, no, I would not.
But B, just because of how cool. And here's another thing. If we're rating it based off the other stuff, though, it could even be a C. Like if we're doing a comparison,
maybe.
So I'd start off as a B. That we can even move it down, right?
We can always move it down or up, or however we end up feeling later.
Yeah, I'm thinking probably B to start.
We can always move it down. The next one. Do I have to say anything? Do I have to say anything?
That is the most iconic bat flip in, I guess, the history of baseball. Honestly, in my opinion, that was the bat flip that made bat flipping cool. Like, not cool, but made it, like, more mainstream and everyone loving it. And that's what really...
This was, like, the tail end of time where people, like, hated players like Bautista and Harper who, they'd, maybe show off after a home run.
This kind of made it where, like, the swagger is more loved around.
People hated those kinds of players around that time. It's very easy to forget now. People hated Joey Bats because they thought,
he was arrogant, whatever.
He was arrogant. He yelled at the umpires, showboat, whatever, this and that. This made bat flipping cool. Respect. I'm not going to sit here and say he's the first person to ever flip a bat. Like, that's just obviously very not true. But this was like, Bautista walked so a guy like Tatis could run. You know,
Yes.
a guy like Tatis or a guy like Jazz Chisholm.
And I don't know if Harper is as loved as he is now if it's not for a moment like that.
Honestly, yeah, I agree. Not to
I've
mention,
always loved Harper. I've been a guy who's loved Harper's whole career for sure.
I've always loved
but I'm
him.
saying for the general public,
I've always loved Harper, and that probably does come down to the fact that in some ways he is a lot like Joey Bats. But yeah, also the context of the actual home run itself. The Jays went down 2-0 in the series. They dropped both games at home. Then they stormed back. Obviously, Game 5 itself was super dramatic too. Like, there was the call, not to mention a call, controversial call in a really, really weird situation too. Like, you don't see that thing happen where Martin, he throws it back to the pitcher and it goes off the guy's bat. You don't see that ever. When was it?
Yeah,
have we seen that since?
We could get into this. No, we could get into this mode for a long time, but yeah, just the fact that it's just the emotion, everything behind it, just really made this so much better too.
Go ahead home run in a winner take all game late in the game, and it's like the franchise player too. He wasn't the best player on the team because obviously Donaldson exists and he was ridiculous that year, but this was like the face of the franchise that did it too, and it's like one of the most beloved Toronto athletes in recent memory. I'd seen this. I can't remember who it was with TSN, and I don't know if you saw it. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. But it was like this kind of like bracket of like most loved Toronto athletes, and Bautista lost to somebody in the finals. I can't remember who it was, but it was different, man. It was different. But yeah, that's an easy S, I think. Another one that's an easy S is Aaron Boone hitting a walk-off in Game 7 to send the Yankees to the World Series. I'd put that S as well. I don't really think that even needs very much discussion. It's Game 7. It's a walk-off to send them to the World Series. Not to mention, this is like the peak of the Red Sox-Yankees rivery, at least in recent memory. It really has not been the same since around this time. Like, even like 2018.
And there's a very funny like bit going on. I don't know if it's really a bit on Twitter of people saying, if Yankee fans, if that home run never happened, Boone isn't the manager of the Yankees, which so honestly might even be true.
Maybe. Fuck. That's kind of a funny thing to think about, but... Yeah, that, I don't think there's anything, that'll probably be the biggest one on this list, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, that's an easy S. That doesn't require much discussion.
Yeah.
Next one, we have Travis Ishikawa walking off the Cardinals to secure the pennant for the Giants.
That's an easy A for me.
I was going to say, that's an A tier. I know that it clinched the World Series. Bautista's didn't, so you could say, why is this under Bautista's? I think the big thing here is that
another thing is that was a winner take all.
There was a winner take all. If the Blue Jays lost, their season was over. I think this came in like Game 5, I think.
This was Game 5, yes.
Yeah.
So they were up 3-1, which again, huge moment, walk off to send them. But
these are all huge moments. These are
it
all
also didn't have like the
moments.
pent up emotion that the Bautista one did in that moment.
Yeah, it didn't. And also, like, if the Giants lost, they have tomorrow, which obviously you don't want to go to tomorrow. You want to get it done now, but in theory, you have more chances. If Bautista hits into a pop out or something and the Rangers get one back, or they get the run back in the top of the inning and it's 4-3, your season might be over, you know? Yeah. But yeah, I agree. I agree with the A tier there. Whew. Next one, Maglio Ordonez hitting a walk-off home run to send the Tigers to the World Series in 2006. I think this is also A tier.
Yeah.
The big thing is, I think they swept this series, did they not? This is a sweep, I think. Or was it?
I think important to notice as well. Yeah, it was a sweep, but I think what's also important to note from that game is that he also hit a home run in the 6th inning to tie it. So not only did he set up the moment to tie it, which then the score held until his next at-bat, he also hit the home run to win it. That's 4 RBIs right there off home runs in his last 2 at-bats to win it. And that moment from him, obviously, I'm not going to say that I remember when this happened. I don't think I would have watched this live, obviously, being 4 years old.
I'm not going to sit here and act like I watched this. I was 2 years old when this happened.
But it's obviously something I've seen, like, clips of. So, and also, it was Houston street pitching, which is just, that's cool just to think about.
True.
That's how long ago he was pitching.
Fuck, oh my god.
Yeah, that's like scary to think. Like we're that old, I
That
guess.
was that long ago. My
But
God. Next year that'll be 20 years
uh,
ago. The Bautista one was 10 years ago.
yeah, it's definitely scary.
That's
But
ridiculous.
yeah, so definitely a big moment to walk it off,
Hmm.
especially after tying it himself. But yeah, I think A's fair for that for sure.
Next one, we have Francisco Lindor hitting a grand slam against the Yankees in Game 2 of the Division Series. Listen, this is one of the most iconic call. Respectfully, I think this is like a C tier one.
I was gonna say C, yeah.
But I can't lie, the call on this kind of that call is ridiculous.
Lindor with a swing and a
Lindor with a
drive.
swing and a
Mav at
drive,
prime
and it's
Mavaz
gone.
version.
That's one of my favorite calls ever, and honestly, that's like part of the reason why I put it on here. I just love that call so
Yeah,
much. Um, Obviously, they end up losing that series. This home run is so ridiculously iconic. We have another Lindor moment coming up soon, but oh man, that was a big one,
what a player he
especially
is,
because
man.
of like how good the Indians were that year. This is the year they did they tie the AL record for consecutive wins, or were they like one short? I can't remember. They were up there. They had like 20 something in a row. Do you remember exactly
Yeah.
or no? What the number?
Oh, what the Lindor one?
No, this was the year that like Cleveland
Oh,
they either
no, you're asking.
sorry.
No, you were asking about that one, right?
Yeah, they either
Like that year.
did they yeah they this is the year that Cleveland tied the AL win streak record, or were they like a win short of it? What was it?
I'm not sure. I think they were short though.
Hmm. Okay, they were short like a game then, because they were damn close, and that was a ridiculous run to watch. This was J Ram was an MVP candidate still at this point. Lindor obviously, still, and Michael Brantley, Carlos Santana. This is the year they signed
Yeah,
Encarnacion.
it's the longest American League streak.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So it was the longest one. Okay, I can remember if they tied
Yeah,
it.
the longest American League streak, but not the longest like MLB
Yeah, yeah,
streak.
yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, because I knew it
Yeah.
was an AL streak. That's what I knew. Um,
Oh, I didn't hear if you said that. Okay, then yeah.
I might have forgot to say it, but that's what I meant.
But also the reason why it's C is because they still ended up losing
Yeah,
that series,
it doesn't
unfortunately.
have the dramatics or the impact of any of these, like,
No.
or any of these, or a lot of the other ones that we're going to get to soon. But yeah,
Yes.
as much as I love that call, it's a C tier. Next, we have Altuve hitting a walk-off home run to send the Astros to the World Series.
I think that's
That's
gotta probably be an S as
that's
well.
got to be an S. It can't get much better than this. Game 6, off of Aroldis Chapman. Aroldis Chapman had the fucking smile after, which is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane work from the guy. Um, yeah, man, this was
Yeah, one of the best closers that we've seen in our generation.
insane, man. This was insane. I remember I was at my dad's house and I was watching this on my laptop. I remember freaking out when he hit this. I was like, oh my god, the Astros are going to the World Series. Because I don't have any stake in the series. I'm not a fucking Astros fan. I'm not a Yankees fan, right? I don't care, right?
Yeah.
Like, it don't matter. But that is like one of the biggest moments that you will experience as an Astros fan. That's some of the biggest euphoria you will experience. A walk-off to go to the World Series? Sign me up. Sign me up in every sense of the word. Sign me up in every sense of the word. And this was also like Yankees Astros. This is what the second time this happened in the playoffs, because it happened 2 years prior. This is 2019. This happened. Not to mention, also before this, DJ LeMahieu hit a big home run in the top of the inning to tie the game. It was 4-2, and then it was 4-4. I think that was a score when this happened, and then this is a 2-run shot. I think they won 6-4. LeMahieu ties it in the top of the ninth with a big home run. Oppo barely gets out, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh fuck, like we have a tie game on our hands. And here comes Jose Altuve off Aroldis Chapman, off if I remember right, it was a hanging slider. He puts it into the fucking boxes, or maybe it was on the train tracks. I don't remember exactly where it landed, but it landed far enough that it went out. That's all that matters at the end of the day. So yeah, that's an easy S tier, I think. Next, we have Francisco Lindor's grand slam in Game 4 against the Phillies last year. This has got to rank higher than his last one, I think. This
I agree.
probably
I would
is.
put that in
This
B.
is high B. I'd put it over the Alonso one.
Yeah, I would put it over the Alonso one, but I think that the Alonso one at this point in time is fair to stay in B.
Yeah. Maybe Lindor moves up, but maybe it stays where it is. Who knows? Maybe this goes down. Who knows? But yeah, they were down 1-0. They did have the series lead. This was at home. This is what ultimately ended up winning them the series, and then they went to the NLCS. This was the big one. This was the big hit that got it.
Yeah, and I think it is fair to say there's a full tier other one because again they actually did win this series, other than the one where he was with Cleveland against the Yankees.
Well, not even just
the
that.
call,
Like this was okay. Obviously, the call on the Cleveland
the
one
moment,
is
yes,
iconic, but like it's easy to forget. Even after he hit the one against the Yankees, they were still losing.
Yeah, they made 8-7.
They were still down, and this was a go ahead hit. Which I mean, stuff like this, obviously Lindor
It's just
but
you have to when you're talking about some of like the most memorable like moments that is up there just because of the call. The call makes that moment more than it is, but that's not to say that it wasn't also a big moment, especially in the moment.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. Yeah. It clears the other one. I think it has to be a full tier ahead at least. It meant more. It was a lot more impactful. Like all of that stuff. All right, we got Howie Kendrick hitting a grand slam in extras to put the Nationals up in Game 5 against the Dodgers in the division series.
I don't want to put it S because we already have 3 things.
I wouldn't put this as any. It's A or B.
Yeah, I think it's A. I think that it was obviously insane, especially that it's Howie Kendrick. You know what I mean? Like Howie Kendrick, who isn't known as like an elite, power hitter at any point in his career, like an elite player, able to just change the series with one swing of the bat. Incredible moment, but I mean, that whole playoff was
absolutely
awesome.
And also, again, we'll say it again. This was a winner-take-all game. If he doesn't get it here and the Nationals don't get any runs, the Dodgers can get it off a sac fly in the bottom of the inning, and then they can just win the series.
I would put this probably at the middle or front of A. I think it's better than I'd put it probably in the middle. I'd say
here.
there.
Okay, we can put it there. I can live with
maybe
that.
Even over Ishikawa, because Ishikawa, keep in mind, that was a Game 5, right?
True.
Where they were already in control of the series, so I would say based off the moment and how it impacted what happened, I would probably put that there, yeah.
True. All right. David Ortiz hitting a game-tying grand slam was Game 2 of the ALCS 2013 off of Joaquin Benoit.
Oh my goodness.
It is easy to forget how good Joaquin Benoit was this year. Blue Jays legend Joaquin Benoit, might I add. He comes in. It's 5-1. Was it the 8th inning or 7th inning, something like that? Comes in to face Ortiz. And listen, this is another iconic call.
Yes.
From Joe Buck.
For me, this is going to be a B tier moment.
Yeah, I was going to say this is top of B, maybe low A.
It is top of B. Because it is iconic. That grand slam, you see that in every compilation for like electric playoff moments. It's Big Papi. Who doesn't love a Big Papi slam? Also, whoever, I forget who it was in right field that
he goes over the fucking wall.
Yeah.
Back at the wall. Tie game.
But yeah, it's also the fact that it was earlier in the series, which again, games early in the series definitely can dictate what happens the rest of the series.
They can.
It's crazy it doesn't. But I think what makes this B compared to what could have made it A or S is the fact that it was still early in the series. Yes, it was huge because you don't want to go down 2-0. 100%. I'm not taking that away. But the fact that it was a Game 2 rather than something like that we're seeing in A, where it's Game 7, Game 5, whatever, that makes it not on the same level to me.
If this was a Game 6 and the Red Sox were up 3-2 or even down 3-2, if it was a Game 5 in the series or whatever, this is probably A, this might be S tier. But I like when it happens in the series also like does matter in context of like the drama. If Bautista hit that home run in Game 1, it does not have nearly the emotion. It's not nearly as culturally significant. That might be the most culturally like in baseball, that might be the culturally most significant moment out of everything on this list. If it's game one, it doesn't have any of that.
Yeah, it was the fact that they were, I think, 4 outs away from going down 2-0, the Red Sox in
Yeah.
that series.
Yeah. Which
That
again
makes it
is
huge.
that's not like an easy hole to come back from. I know Toronto just did it. We've seen teams do it before. That's not an easy hole to come back from.
No,
Let's keep
not at
that
all.
clear as well.
It's a very, the company of teams that have done that, it's very small. It's very, as you would say, bleak.
It's bleak, yeah. All right. Pujols off of Brad Lidge in 2005. This one goes over the tracks.
That's A for me, I would probably have to say.
That's an A tier, you think, eh?
I
was thinking like
it could be B.
I was thinking like a B. I'm not gonna lie, this might have been C tier, but I can go B. I can live with a B. Where do you want to put it in B?
I'd probably put it
here, one of these.
In between Ortiz and Lindor.
Yeah, okay. I can live with that. Dude, that's
it's just
crushed. I don't think that ball's landed yet. It's been a long time. I don't think it's landed.
No, so I actually heard a rumor that home run and Soler's home run collided in midair.
They might have. It might have been hit out of orbit. I heard a rumor that they sent an astronaut up into space a couple years ago, and this ball that he hit, all way back when, it hit the ship as it was going up. So we'll see that.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to note that Brad Lidge, this is before that magical 2008 run with Philly, but this was this was his breakout year of the year before. So he finished top 10 in Cy Young voting in 2004, and then 2005 comes along, and he has a year that's just as good, obviously not as good, but almost as good. And he was getting, I'm pretty sure he got some MVP votes, which he also did in 2008. Brad Lidge is a guy who I think is a very underrated reliever. He had some years where that stuck out as, that's not great. But lights out Lidge, that 2008 run was magical. And in 2004 and 5, he was one of the best relievers in baseball.
Lights out Lidge, baby.
The fact that you get a star power matchup like that, one of the best relievers in the game, one of the best hitters ever, you're always in for a treat. And that ball was absolutely crushed.
Hammered, bro. Hammered the shit out of that thing. Yeah, I can live with that in B. Roy Halladay throwing the second playoff no-hitter in baseball history. What are we thinking, Ethan?
This one's hard because it was the first game of the division series. So from a moment of what it does for a series and what it does for the team overall, I don't know if it's, as big as some of the ones we have.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's just something that never happens. A playoff no-hitter.
A no-hitter.
It happens
never.
That's so rare. And this is one of my favorite players ever. Probably my favorite player of all time. The only thing I'm thinking of is Vlad might be overtaking that soon the way he's playing, but the Phillies did end up going on after winning that series. They ended up losing to the Giants. So if they had gone on a run after that and that started it, I would argue sure, maybe you could put it in A or something. Great moment, but in terms of actual postseason, I'll have to put it on par with Lindor. It was awesome.
Yeah, right here.
It was so cool.
Right here somewhere.
Yes.
Somewhere in this realm.
Probably in between Alonso and Lindor, if I'd have to say.
I can get behind that.
Again, absolutely incredible, moment, and as one of the biggest Doc fans, as a kid, being able to watch that was just insane. I was so happy for him. But yeah, it was game one of the DS, and again, it doesn't mean that it wasn't important, but it's just not as important as something that was a later into a series in the CS or something.
Yeah, no, that's totally valid. That's totally valid. It's totally valid. All right, next up we have this last year, Juan Soto hitting a home run that it wasn't a walk-off, but it sent the Yankees to the World Series. It was the go-ahead home run that won them the game and sent them to the World Series. What are we saying on this one? This is like, it's either here or it's here. What do we think?
Yeah, I would probably have to say it's like very high A tier, like the like number one A tier,
Very high A tier. Okay, okay.
maybe number two.
I put it above the Howie one. I put it above Howie. I don't think you can put it below Howie. I think there's
Uh,
it would go in S before it goes behind Howie. I think.
That's fair. That's fair. Because one was to send them to the World Series. The only thing I'm thinking of is the fact that the Howie one was a do or die game, but
True.
still, that moment, unbelievable. And as much as I, don't like the Yankees, I couldn't even help myself from getting hype in that moment.
That
That
was
was
big.
just,
That's one of like the biggest.
yeah.
Again, this is the moments you live for, right? Not to mention like, oh my god, man, that was. I remember watching that. I was even getting turned. I was like, holy fuck. Like Juan Soto, it's like fuck the Yankees, but it's also Juan fucking Soto, bro. Like, what a fucking guy.
Yeah.
The gene, bro. Juan Soto, he low key got in the playoffs. You remember the one off of was it Garrett Cole in Game 7 in 2019, or who was it in Game? Who? No, I don't even think it was Game 7. Who was it that he fucking took into like he hit a moonshot off in the World Series with the Nationals? You know which one I'm talking about, right? It wasn't Game 7,
Yes, that
right?
was
I remember who.
Cole. It was Cole, I'm
in,
pretty sure.
in whatever Game 6 maybe. It was early in the series.
It was
I don't
game,
remember.
yeah, it was game 6. It was in Houston. It was, um, I it was the go ahead, right?
Was it go ahead?
Or
I can't remember if it was go ahead, but
was it that one? No, that was which one am I thinking of then?
I can't remember if it was go ahead. I just remember he hit it into fucking Jupiter.
Oh no, it was game 1, I think.
Whatever,
Right?
whenever I don't remember when it happened. I just remember
Yeah,
the ball
it was off Garrett. I know
it was
that
in
much.
Houston and it was hit into Jupiter and it was in that series. That's all I
Yes.
remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's an A tier one. It's hard to get much better than going to the World Series or having some level of dramatic that rivals that. But next up, we have another one from Juan Soto. Well, partially Juan Soto. This is Rendon and Soto going back to back off of Kershaw in Game 5. This is the same game as the Howie Kendrick one. This is, Clayton Kershaw comes in out of the pen. He had finished off the inning before and they sent him back out. Rendon gets a slider, like, almost at his ankles, hits it out, and then Juan Soto gets another hanging slider, like, up and in, and he hits it out, and they tie the game on I'm pretty sure it was back-to-back pitches.
I don't want to. I could say A, but it definitely set the moment for Howie Kendrick. But I don't know if it's that much different. You know what I mean? Like, I would put it probably similar to there because the Howie Kendrick moment doesn't happen without this. But the Howie Kendrick moment was also probably bigger than it's interesting.
At the end of it,
you can make the argument both ways.
This is the one that gave him the lead. This is the one that tied the game. Also, another thing to think about, this one was off of Clayton Kershaw, the best pitcher of this generation. Yeah. That's another thing to think about. I think you can put it low A if you want to say you need the Howie one above it. Sure, that's actually totally valid. You can maybe put it bottom A, maybe at the top of B.
Yeah,
maybe something like that.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that.
All right, we'll leave it here for now. If we want to move it up or down or whatever, we can figure it out.
Yeah.
Last but not least, George Springer hitting a go-ahead home run in Game 7 of the ALCS against...
The lowest I'd put this would be the top of A. The absolute lowest. It might be recency bias to
the
say
lowest
S.
I would put it is right here. That's the lowest it goes.
Yeah. It's just because I don't want to let the recency bias and the fact that I'm a Jays fan kind of get in the way. But
I don't give a shit.
Here's my thing, though.
I don't give a
We
shit.
said it was bigger than Bautista's, so we can't really put it at the end there,
We can't. We did say it was bigger than Jose. We did say it was bigger than Jose.
Look, you know what? We're Jays fans. We'll be a little biased. We'll have 2 Jays in S. I don't
Fuck it.
care.
I don't give a shit, bro. Sue me, bro. I don't care. Listen, there's a bunch of things that make up the moment, right? There's a whole bunch of things. This was in another comeback, like 2-0, and then they were down 3-2. It wasn't looking too good. Like we said, this was like their last chance. Munoz was coming. Not to mention the context. He was hit by the pitch in Game 5 and had to leave the game. He was hobbled. What else can you ask for? it's hard to top a Game 7. You know? It's hard to top a Game 7, a winner-take-all game. And sending your team to the World Series. It's really hard to top that, you know?
Yeah.
So it's hard to put anything over. I would have a hard time putting it over the Aaron Boone one, since that one was a walk-off in a very similar scenario.
Yes.
But I think we can have this one just behind it, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, there we go. That's the tier list right now. Do we want to move anything around? We can mess up the order of things in tiers. We can throw things down. We can move things up. What do you think?
I like it a lot because the Lindor one is definitely, it should be in a tier of its own at the bottom, like below the other ones, because it definitely didn't have the same impact as the other ones. But also, I think the only thing I would say is that, you know, having 4S's kind of, maybe you could say, diminishes the value, but like they were just all so iconic that I can't really look at any of them and take them down.
Don't care.
Like that's my logic. I can't even see an argument to move any of them down. So that's why I think it's fine.
I can't in good faith move any of these down. You're not going to look at me and say that you should move the Altuve one down, that you're moving the bat flip down. You're sure as hell not moving the Springer or Boone one down. You're just simply not doing that. If anything, I could maybe move the Soto one up to S, the Yankees one. I wouldn't move any of the S ones down. I'd maybe move that one up. If anything, I'd maybe move the Lindor one down a tier, move the Pete one to C. And then that might be it, maybe, if I were to change anything here. But I really like this list.
Yeah, I like it.
All right. So, with that being said, I think that's going to do it for today's episode. Whew. The World Series starts soon. For anyone seeing this, is going to go up on Thursday, so it starts tomorrow. For us, it starts in about 46 hours. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Whether you, again, as always, if you watched for just a couple minutes or you watched the full thing, listened, thank you so much. It means everything. We hope everyone enjoys the World Series. Obviously, we know what we want to happen, but we hope everyone has a good time watching it. That's obviously what matters the most. So,
until next time.
Until next time, we will see you guys probably after the World Series is done. We'll come back. We'll have another episode for you guys when the World Series is done. But yeah, we will see you guys then. So, yeah, peace out, everyone. Take care.